How's it going out there? This is Feed Your Mind. There's this channel called The Truthers Hour of Comedy Show, and they're not really comedians though. I mean, I don't know if they are comedians or not, but I know that they're putting out some information about flat Earth, and they've taken it to the metaverse. Look, I didn't even know the metaverse was out, or if this is some type of virtual reality program similar or what, but it looks like the metaverse is online or something. Because these guys are in there and they're flat smacking. So they're going around, and you can like see these little avatars just running around this made up world. There's even this world with it's like a planetarium. So they got people in there and their avatars looking around. It's like a planetarium with the planets and the stars, and so he's going in there telling everybody like, look, this is just like the real world where you're just looking up at the sky. That's not a real sky. There's what he was saying, like he's relating it to the firmament in real life, and just waking up a whole lot of people in there. And that was actually the perfect place to wake them up, because I mean the people in there are enjoying like the planetarium site, because it's like there's different sites. I saw him flat smacking before. It was just a normal like building that these avatars are in, but then I guess there's different rooms. So this next room he was in was like a space room, so that was a perfect place to start flat smacking. And it looks like he was doing pretty good in there. I mean, you can you can show pictures and share pictures. It's like there seems to be quite a few people in there. I don't know what exactly a VR program he's using, but it's pretty cool. So I'll leave a link if you want to check it out. And give this guy some support. Maybe figure out how to do that too. If we can get more people into the virtual world doing stuff like this, because like I said in earlier videos, it's like they've been shutting down the conversation, and so we gotta keep the conversation going and bring it to the people. I mean, it was pretty cool. Like I said, I'll leave a link so you can check out this VR world, this metaverse type world where they're flat smacking unsuspected individuals, and seems like he was actually doing pretty good in there. I mean, can't let them silence us. So I mean, the way they're trying to silence us is just out of control, and it's time to start really picking it up when it comes to getting the message out, waking people up, stuff like that. They can't stop the information. I mean, we'll just have to get more people on board and wake more and more people up. The faster we wake people up, the faster we can get things moving here in this real world, because people won't be falling for the okey doke anymore when it comes to rules and unjust rules. It's like we're gonna have this broader discussion on my Feed Your Mind 3 channel where we cover like rulership and stuff like that, because there does seem to be some aspect of governorship and rulership that I don't know. I mean, it's a discussion that we're gonna have to have. I mean, do you think we need rulership? It seems like society requires some form of organized control, but it's the people in power. It's like it's like they always mess it up. It's like you got these groups that just get involved with rulership, and that's their main goal, is to just get involved and impose more restrictions and increase the rulership. It's like that's not what we need. It's like we need honest rulership, and so we don't know. I mean, according to the Bible, it almost looks like God's kingdom is going to have to come down to set up an establishment, but there's going to be a time when everybody wakes up. I think that's the main thing, is a time when everybody wakes up. That's a big deal. If it takes the God to come back for people to wake up, or if people can wake up on their own, whatever. I mean, either way, you're going to have God's kingdom on earth once people wake up to the lies. When they realize that there is definitely a creator 100% for sure, because that's what they're hiding with this outer space stuff. They're trying to hide creation. So the more people wake up, the faster we get to a world where it's a like-minded, if everybody's a believer in a higher power, in the Most High, and the Creator, if at that point, I think that changes a lot. That changes a whole lot. So, for the better for us. So, yeah, check out the link for this guy flat smacking in the metaverse. If you'd like to donate to this channel and help me stay online, you can donate as little as $1. I'll leave a link for that. That's my Patreon link. I also leave links for my other channels and my social media. So please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This has been Feed Your Mind, signing off.
How's it going out there? This is Feed Your Mind, and in today's video we will discuss an epic court battle that took place where a judge ruled in favor of Flat Earth versus the Globe Earth. And so a Flat Earther that goes by the name of Zen Garcia had put out a challenge to any Globe Earther that can prove the curvature of the Earth according to the scientific formula of an 8-inch drop per every mile square. And this experiment needed to be repeatable, and it needed to be performed twice in 2 different ways. And so this was a fair challenge, because if it's so obvious that we live on a globe Earth, it should be very simple to prove that this is true by conducting a repeatable experiment, not once, but twice in 2 different ways, in order to confirm that the results were accurate. And so if you could do this, the challenge was that you would win $15,000. And so a globe Earther decided to take on this challenge, thinking this would be simple. And so this globe Earther went ahead and conducted 2 experiments. One experiment was where he had conducted a sunset experiment where an observer would watch the sunset from the bottom of a building, while a second observer simultaneously observes the sunset from the top of the building. And so the results was that the observer at the top of the building saw the sunset longer than the observer at the bottom of the building.
And then by calculating the building heights and the observer heights and stuff like that, he claimed this formula gave him the globe Earth curvature of the Earth.
And so his second experiment, where the globe Earther was saying that the post on this very long bridge, I believe it was the Golden State Bridge, where he was saying that as you observe the bridge go off into the distance, the post of the bridge you can see drop as the bridge continues to go off into the distance, and the posts that are closer to the observer appear much taller than the post at the far end of the bridge. And then if you calculate the drop in the posts,
he claimed that this allegedly gave him the curvature of the Earth.
And so basically that was his 2 experiments where this globe Earther was suing Zen Garcia for the prize money of $15,000, claiming that he had just proven the globe Earth curvature twice. And so he was telling the judge that he was entitled to the prize money, and he also added that it would be a big embarrassment to the scientific community for him not to win this prize money. And so it sounded like this guy was just so sure that he was going to win this $15,000. And his attitude sounded real arrogant. And it sounded like he was just saying how this should be a very simple decision to make for the judge, and that this should be an easy case. And so he was pretty much saying that the flat Earth idea is pretty much ridiculous. And he was saying that he completely proved the globe Earth by his experiments. And so this is the same attitude that most globe Earthers seem to have, where they just have their mind made up that the flat Earth topic is something to not even look into. It's just a distraction. Why would anybody hide the flat Earth? How could it be light and day at the same time on a flat Earth? Why hasn't anybody fell off the edge yet? Why are all the planets round? And they love to say stuff like, I saw the curvature of the Earth from an airplane, and I saw thousands of pictures of the Earth before.
And so the clever thing about it is that these people don't even realize that they were indoctrinated about the globe Earth. I mean, some of them caught on to the evolution theory and the Big Bang theory being complete science fiction. But when it came to the globe Earth, that was the one thing that they never realized was in the same category as the evolution theory and the Big Bang theory. And so these people insist
that the earth is a globe. They feel like it's already been proven and it's not even a discussion. And so this prevents them from understanding how serious this discussion really is. And that's why this guy got embarrassed and didn't win the prize money. They don't understand that there's actually answers to your questions. All the things that they think proves the globe earth, there's actually responses to those questions that they have that make a lot of sense. So just because things happen one way on a globe earth doesn't mean you can't explain that same thing on a flat earth. You can describe night and day on a flat earth. You can describe seasons and time zones. There's answers to any question about flat earth. And if you need the answers to these questions, simply watch my flat earth proof playlist and get caught up on all of the questions that you need answered about flat earth. Now back to the court case. After this guy gave his statements about why he proved the earth was a globe, it was now Zen Garcia's turn to present his arguments as to why he didn't award the contestant $15,000 for proving the globe earth, because Zen Garcia was saying that those experiments were invalid and did not prove the globe earth. Because like I just said earlier, there's actual responses to the things that globe earthers think proves the globe earth. And so when a flat earther is allowed to articulate and explain their response to the alleged slam dunk globe earth proofs, a flat earther can easily explain how that is not proof of a globe earth. And so with the bridge proof, for example, Zen Garcia was able to say there's actual perspective that we must consider when looking at the poles of a bridge drop in the distance. That's not valid proof of a globe earth, because we can repeat this observation and prove that there is a line of sight where an object will drop simply due to perspective. When you look down a long road and you see the telephone poles drop in the distance, that's not globe earth proof, because we know those poles aren't shorter just because they're dropping. They're dropping due to perspective. And with the building experiment, where if you're on top of the building, you can see the sunset come back into view versus if you're at ground level, well, this is not proof of a globe earth either, because when you're at an elevated level, you can see more distance. That doesn't prove that you're seeing over a globe earth curvature. It's just that due to your observation level being risen, you can now see much further into the distance. The elevation experiment does not prove a globe earth.
And also, objects disappearing bottom first when off in the distance does not prove curvature either. In fact, Zen goes into much more details than I share with you here. The arguments that Zen used to beat this court case goes into specific detail about why the earth is flat. And the specifics that Zen Garcia used was actual scientific facts that you cannot debunk about why the earth is scientifically flat and why the globe earth math cannot be proven. Anybody telling you otherwise needs to do deeper research on this subject.
And so Zen Garcia was also able to go into much more details and other proofs of why the earth is actually not curving at the scientific 8-inch drop per every mile square formula, because Zen Garcia was able to present evidence where islands are being seen well beyond where they should be able to be seen. There's all types of long distance photography and long distance experiments where flat earthers have been able to see objects that should not be visible on a globe earth. And so Zen was completely prepared for this case, and he came in and went into tons of evidence and proof that the earth is actually not curving. And this case was so historical because it's not even clear if something like this has ever been done before, where two people are in an actual debate about whether or not curvature of the earth can be proven or not in a court of law before a judge. And the judge decided in Zen Garcia's favor. This victory goes down in history. And now it's time for a lot of these so-called truth channels to stop ignoring the subject of flat earth. And so can you imagine how embarrassed this globe earther must have felt when the judge heard all of the evidence that was before him? The judge decided that the contestant did not prove that he lived on a globe earth.
So I'll leave a link to Zen's full report about this incident in the comment section in the description box, so you can hear all the details and the arguments that he used to win this case directly from him.
And so also check out my Flat Earth Testimony playlist for much more information. I'll also leave a link to that in the comment section in the description box as well. as well. Simply enter your email address at feedyourmind1.com. That way I can send you some cool news briefs throughout the week. It's completely free. Please chip in $1 to $5 to help keep Feed Your Mind on YouTube by joining my VIP room. I'll leave a link in the comment section in the description box. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click your notification bell. Include the title of your favorite video and you're automatically entered into a chance to win a free gift from my Feed Your Mind pop-up shop. This has been another episode of Feed Your Mind. Thank you for tuning in. Signing off.
I gave you the scriptures. He gave you his version.
It's always somebody else's version.
Hold on. No.
This is nonsense.
You came up with your scriptures and gave your interpretation of them. I gave mine.
I gave you the Bible
I
interpretation.
gave you the
of them.
Bible. I gave more Bible than you did, for a fact, right there. All right.
Oh, really?
That's a fact.
Well, I'll tell you what. How about in your rebuttal, I'll keep my mouth shut and you tell me how wrong I was about your misapplication of the ring stamping in Job chapter 38.
First of all,
hello, is it sunrise or not?
Not at all. I don't agree with you.
Turn his mic off. Get out.
Wow.
You're a Bible denier. You're a Bible denier. You're a Bible denier. That is ridiculous. Bible denier. Just get out. Get the band up here. Woo! Let's worship the Lord. I ain't putting up with this nonsense no more. I gave you our platform. And y'all want to get up here with a bunch of nonsense. Come up here, band. Let's worship the Lord. We're going to actually do something spiritual in this room tonight instead of talk about flat earth nonsense. And by the way, if you go to this church and you're upset about me taking the Bible in its context and dealing with it, and you're going to keep sowing that discord, don't ever come back. That's all I'm going to tell you right now. I'm not listening. It's a last day's deception. I do not care if this is a UFC smackdown to the mat. I would highly suggest that people keep their mouth shut, get in their car, and go where they need to be. We'll see you at 10:30 in the morning. We're going to have a packed house, and we're going to preach what the Bible says. If you believe the Bible Global Vision, shout amen!
This is Feed Your Mind. And so the debate between Dean Odle and Greg Loke, the two pastors who were debating flat earth versus globe earth biblically, ended with a bang because, well, it got pretty heated towards the end when basically Dean Odle wanted to go up there and rebut some of the things that Pastor Greg Loke was saying, because he admitted that he really didn't have much research on the flat earth. He kept going to the Flat Earth Society information in older books like Robothan or whatever his name is. And Dean Odle already said he didn't read that book, and he's not a part of the Flat Earth Society because that's controlled opposition, basically shills. So Dean Odle was coming with the updated Flat Earth information with a lot of advanced information, and information most pastors never even bothered to look into because it requires knowing the original Hebrew and Greek translations of certain meanings of words. When Pastor Dean Odle had his moment up there, he covered a whole lot of scriptures, and he was able to clarify the meanings of certain words and how the Bible is a flat earth book. So it was very informative, and I believe that Greg Loke had to wing it at the end because Dean Odle went first. So when it was Loke's turn, basically, it looked like he had to pretty much throw out he probably had something prepared already. He had to throw a lot of that out, in my opinion, because it would have looked foolish for him to go up there after that and try to, debate what Pastor Dean Odle had said, because Dean Odle's information was so solid. So the debate ended, basically with that type of situation where Greg Loke definitely was not prepared for this situation or this debate. He had no idea how he was going to respond to Dean Odle's advanced information on biblical flat earth. So they were trying to debate about the clay, with the earth being stamped like clay, describing the earth. And Pastor Greg Loke kept on trying to say, no, that it's talking about something else. When the Bible is clearly, talking about how it's describing the earth, like if it was clay pressed down with a stamp that would create a flat earth model with the upturned edges. Pastor Greg Loke was saying, no, this is saying something else. It's talking about a sunrise or something. Then he was very uninformed on a whole lot of stuff. But yeah, it just looked like Greg Loke was not prepared for this debate. It's pretty clear that he knows he lost it because it's not even available on his YouTube channel anymore. It was like immediately removed. It aired live and then it was gone. It says this video has been removed by the uploader. They got into a heated argument at the end. Now, my analysis of the argument at the end is I was very unimpressed by it because I believe it got heated unnecessarily. Because to me, it just looked like, to be honest, it looked like Dean Odell did not want to be interrupted a lot. But the thing is, a lot of people wanted to see this debate. And I would say that I personally would have liked Dean Odell to allow some interruptions and just go back at him, maybe they needed a moderator, but, for the debate to end like that, I was not impressed because I don't believe it had to end like that. I think a moderator would have helped a lot. And since they didn't have a moderator, they let their emotions get the best of them. And so Dean Odell kept saying, don't interrupt me. Then it got to the point where Pastor Greg Loke just looked for any excuse to kick him off the stage because he said, basically, oh, well, you don't believe this. You're not going biblical because you don't believe that this verse about clay is talking about a sunrise or something. So they both lost their cool. Okay. But I would have liked to see less of that between them. I think they could have handled this with, much better, in my opinion. I just don't, I think it was unnecessary. I see a lot of debaters though, they get real frustrated when people interrupt them, and I'm sure that is pretty annoying when someone interrupts you and everything. But it's just that so many people were tuned in and trying to see this debate happen and take place that it would have just been to the benefit of the viewer. I would have liked for them to be able to get through their emotions and have the heated exchange, just not with threatening to leave. Like, I didn't like it when I'm hearing, okay, I'm out of here if you keep interrupting me. Like, no, come on, let's give this some time. Let's make this happen. I know it's very annoying, but let's make this debate happen completely to the end. Let's let cooler heads prevail and make this debate happen. But instead, it ended with Pastor Greg Loke getting upset over the back and forth, and basically after Dean Odell refused to acknowledge his point of view, and he got mad and said, "Oh, get out of here." Dean threw the mic at him, basically not like in a threatening way. Really, it was more like a toss, like, here, catch this, But yeah, I mean, it got very heated at the end, as you saw. I played a clip in the beginning, so I mean, that's how the debate ended. Pastor Dean Odell said he was renting out a place for everyone that was there if they want to attend to his gathering in Greg Loke City. So I saw something where I was scrolling where it looked like he had to add more seats, like it was a sold out ministry the next day from Pastor Dean Odell. I didn't. I went to look for the video again. I don't know what happened to it. It's very hard to find. It's like it's not being, it's kind of being hidden by the YouTube search or something, because the next day, which is Sunday, the 3rd, the day after the debate, yeah, Dean Odell went ahead and it sounds like he held an event in Greg Loke City, and I'm hearing it was a sold out, not sold out because he didn't charge, but it was it was at capacity from what I was hearing. So maybe he won over some people. Basically, it came down to Dean Odell and Pastor Loke calling each other deceived. And, that's just what it is. They're both, pointing the finger that you're deceived, and then he's saying he's deceived. But really, we all know that, come on, the heliocentric model, That's obvious deception. To go with the status quo, with what the establishment is teaching us, of course, that should raise some red flags. That, it falls in line with, like what Dean Odell said. It falls in line with evolution and the Big Bang Theory, which is it all goes together with the solar system model. They're all connected. That's what Kent Hovind doesn't get as well. It's like he doesn't understand that Kent Hovind is a genius at debating evolution, but he doesn't understand that the solar system model is part of that deception. So Greg Loke, he can't figure that out either. He doesn't understand that. And for some reason, they just can't figure out. Now it's at a point where he might have got it because Dean Odell's presentation was so well, it was brilliant. So that's probably why I looked like he winged it at the end for his turn, because I think he was humbled. I think Greg Loke was humbled. And now it's to the point where, okay, will he admit this or not? Will he get to the point where maybe he rewatches it at his own time? Maybe he can rewatch the debate and pick up on more understanding of all the incredible information that Dean Odell presented. And, maybe he'll wake up, and maybe it just might take some time because he's in the angry stage right now. There's a lot of different stages: denial, anger, then acceptance, and, like humble. They'll humble themselves eventually, some people at least, and then they'll awaken to the new information because it was so hard to snap out of that. So yeah, so it was, I saw DITRH was there. He showed up a couple times. I saw him on screen. It was like I think it was like a 4-hour debate. Look, I'm going to leave a link. That's right. I'm going to leave a link for y'all in the comment section and description box. If you haven't checked out the debate, that's where you can check it out. Link will be there. And yeah, let me know what y'all think. I think it was an easy win for Dean Odell. I just think that, I was hoping it would have had a better outcome at the end, though. I would have liked, probably, it looked like they needed a moderator. And I kind of was hoping for more back and forth. Because even when it gets heated, that's like the most exciting part to me, really, is the back and forth exchange. At the end, which was going to happen before it abruptly ended, the back and forth exchange. They did have a back and forth in the beginning. And that was kind of going bad too, because, Dean Odell was saying, hey, you're interrupting me. And I understand that, but let's not quit over that. Let's fight through that, interruptions, and stay there, stay put, stand your ground. We got the truth on our side. So we don't need to waver, and we don't, I just think a moderator would have, definitely been of benefit to that situation. But anyways, yeah, check out the debate. Links in the comment section and description box. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe and all that. I'm also going to leave links to my other channels, my social media, my Feed Your Mind store, my free email newsletters, and much more. If you would like to support this channel, please donate as little as $1 to help keep this channel online. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Feed Your Mind, signing off.
Hello everybody, you are listening to Feed Your Mind. Today we will discuss the height of the dome firmament explained in detail. And so our research begins with the Van Allen radiation belt. The Van Allen radiation belt is said to be a band of deadly radioactivity from the sun that surrounds the Earth. And it's the main reason why the moon landings never happened, because there's no way that astronauts were able to make it through these Van Allen radiation belts without getting cooked like a microwave. And so this Van Allen radiation belt is said to begin at 620 miles up and extends all the way to 3,700 miles up. And so 620 miles is also the highest point of the ionosphere. Check out my White Alice video if you want more details about the ionosphere. We're also going to discuss it more in this video as well, because it all seems to be connected to the height of the dome firmament. And it is described as a shell of electrons and electrically charged atoms and molecules that surround the Earth. Now, according to my research, I highly suspect that this line between the maximum height of the ionosphere and where this Van Allen radiation belt begins would possibly be the maximum height of the dome firmament. Because an interesting thing about this ionosphere description is it says a shell of electrons. A shell to me sounds like a firm and solid object, because the thing is, the scientists are literally saying that they're bouncing signals off of the sky. Now, their excuse is saying it's a shell of electrically charged particles, but this seems to be their excuse and their only way to describe what they are witnessing, because if you think about it with common sense, the air is supposed to be thinner the farther you go up. And so how are they possibly bouncing signals off of the sky? I suppose you're going to say that there's some type of magical magnetic field that happens to be protecting the Earth. This magnetic force field is said to have formed by some Big Bang accident. Or we can go with there's a solid dome firmament above us. In my dome firmament playlist, we also discuss satellites, because satellites are definitely not what you were told either. You see, satellites do not exist. They're just bouncing signals off this reflective dome firmament. The reflective properties of the dome firmament is part of the reason why you see rainbows, sundogs, and more. Because according to my research, the dome is most likely some form of reflective material. There's descriptions that say it's as a molten glass. Molten sounds kind of metallic, and it could be a reflective metallic type glass. It sounds like it's probably see-through as well. And so this material doesn't seem like it's known to mankind. But there's also another striking coincidence of this ionosphere, because they say it begins 31 miles up. And so 31 miles up is actually the same height of the highest balloon that has ever been launched. You see, balloons will always pop around 30 miles up or lower. And this is allegedly due to the low air pressure that forces the balloon to expand until it bursts. And so scientists have been creating these balloons to be more flexible so they don't burst. What is causing these balloons to pop at 32 miles up? And what's with the coincidence with 32 miles being the lowest part of the ionosphere? And so, like I said, the ionosphere ranges from 31 miles up to 620 miles up. So if it begins at 31 miles up, this suggests a possible gradual firmament. Maybe the lower point of the firmament begins with some resistance at around the 30-mile height, and then gradually becomes more and more dense to the point where it's a solid dome firmament at around the maximum height, which is around 620 miles up. There's also another factor to consider when analyzing the height of the dome firmament, and that's the possible curved nature of the firmament. You see, if the dome is an arch-like shape, there would be various points of height on the dome, 31 miles up. It seems to be the average point where balloons pop no matter where you are. Most balloons usually only range from 11 to 23 miles up, so this 32 miles up was an exception, and this happened around 2002. And so polar orbiting satellites are said to be as low as 444 miles up. The ISS is said to be about 220 miles up. Low Earth orbit is said to begin around 100 miles up and is said to range to about 1,200 miles up. Outer space is said to actually begin at 50 miles up. Firmament activity appears to begin around 30 miles to 100 miles up. And maybe 100 to 600 miles up could be the second heaven area, possibly, because maybe that's the area where the stars and the planets, which are actually stars as well, hang out. In my last video, I discussed how planets are actually stars, so make sure to check that video out if you get a chance. And so the second heaven area seems to be around the range where scientists are saying the orbit begins, with the ISS being 220 miles up. So I'll also be covering the ISS in a later video as well. And so in this video, we see how if the firmament is indeed a dome shape, that means that there would be various heights of the dome, literally to the point where the sky would meet the land, somewhere in the Antarctic area. We also discussed the possible gradual resistance that the firmament might apply. There's some type of activity starting around 30 miles, but the activity could extend into a denser and denser resistance until it actually becomes a hard barrier at a possible maximum height around 620 miles. We also discussed how there could be possible layers of the dome where there could be an area where some would consider a second heaven, or where the possible planets and stars exist. And so to summarize everything up, I'm kind of leaning towards the gradual resistance hypothesis of the dome. And I'm also kind of looking at this whole second heaven, where I'm going to do a whole video on that area of the topic. So click your notification bell and maybe we'll discuss that second heaven hypothesis in greater detail. But I really want to know what you all think about everything we discussed in this video. Let me know in the comment section, how high do you think the dome is? Or what hypothesis that we discussed in this video do you like the most? It could even be some type of combination of everything we discussed in this video. And so either way, this kind of puts into perspective the height of the dome firmament as far as I can investigate at the moment. With the research that is available and putting two and two together, there seems to be pretty much a range from as low as around 30 miles up to as high as 620 miles up. Check out my Proof of the Dome Firmament playlist for much more information. I'll leave the link in the comment section and the description box. Simply enter your email address at feedyourmind1.com. That way I can send you some cool news briefs throughout the week. It's completely free. If you support this channel, chip in $1 to $5 and you can join my VIP room for early releases, free gifts, and much more. Links in the comment section and the description box. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click your notification bell. Include the title of your favorite video and you're automatically entered into a chance to win a free gift from my Feed Your Mind pop-up shop. This has been another episode of Feed Your Mind. Thank you for tuning in, signing off. Hello everybody, you are listening to Feed Your Mind. In today's video, we will discuss the continents that are said to be beyond Antarctica. And so I will analyze this topic from a Feed Your Mind perspective, and so let's brainstorm. So in this video, we're going to cover 3 hypotheses about the possibility of extra continents beyond Antarctica. One theory supports the idea, one theory rejects the idea, and another one is neutral. And so let's get into it. Basically, there was reports from Admiral Byrd about these extra continents, plus there was a Chinese map that was said to reveal these extra continents beyond Antarctica. So we're going to cover all of that, plus much more in this video. I suppose we should start off with Admiral Byrd and how he is said to have discovered that Antarctica is not what we were told. He had a press conference in the 50s after his strange missions in Antarctica. He was in charge of the deep freeze mission and the high jump mission, both Antarctic exploration missions that were designed to address something that was going on in Antarctica. And so what Admiral Byrd reported in his interview was that he discovered lands beyond Antarctica.
Strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole, on the other side of the South Pole, from Middle America. So there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
My take on all of this is that he could have possibly found extra land in Antarctica, but in my opinion, that land doesn't necessarily have to have been beyond Antarctica. And one of the reasons why people might think that there's more land in Antarctica could simply be the massiveness of Antarctica. Because if the flat Earth Antarctica is the outer ring around the Earth, that would mean Antarctica would be a massive area. And so that could easily be confused as other lands. Some areas might be less frozen than others, but that could be one of the explanations to why there has been reports of more land beyond Antarctica. Maybe it's just that Antarctica is so massive that extra lands and continents could be mistaken, but it's really just all one outer ring. And according to my research, the North Pole is really the only place where compasses work. It is of my understanding that compasses don't really work down in the Antarctic area. There's no South Pole force that's attracting the needle of the compass. Plus, according to my research, GPS doesn't work down there either, so it would be very difficult to navigate around Antarctica and understand exactly where you are. There could easily be extra land that Admiral Byrd discovered that he might not have understood. And so not too long after this discovery, Admiral Byrd passed away suspiciously, and that might have been so that he doesn't reveal any more information about Antarctica. And so after analyzing the original Chinese map where they had all these extra continents around the Earth, but at a distance beyond Antarctica, and then within a few months later, I started seeing this updated version of the extra continents beyond Antarctica, and it had a second ice wall ring around the Earth and several continents scattered around that. And then after that, I started seeing another modified take on this hypothesis with a third ice wall ring around the Earth. And according to this newest map of these extra continents with the 3 rings, it actually says that the spiral continues to go on and on forever. And so after analyzing these maps, I can point out a few of the areas I'm having trouble with. According to this hypothesis, you would either have to have a very large dome, or you would have to go with the no dome theory. But then the atmosphere kind of becomes an issue there, just like on the globe Earth, because with the globe Earth, they're saying that there's several layers of the atmosphere, then all of a sudden space becomes a vacuum. So really the dome firmament idea is one of the best theories out there when realistically explaining the atmosphere of Earth. There's also other reasons why I believe there's a dome firmament, and we will discuss that at the end of this video. Another issue I have with this infinite ring theory is the night and day issue and the seasons issue, because each ring would become a larger and larger ring, so that would require more and more suns and moons to make up for all of that extra real estate. So it wouldn't be impossible, but it just gets much more complicated and complex. And so one of the final issues I have with this whole extra ring, extra continents idea is that it appears that the continents on the Earth are all kind of connected. You can kind of see the shapes of the continents fit together like a puzzle. And so Pangea is a very real possibility if the shapes of these continents are fairly accurate. You can kind of see how the Earth could have all been one continent at one time very easily. So with these extra rings around the Earth, that whole idea gets just a little messy. There's actually a theory I have with the dome firmament being a larger dome where this whole thing could work.
And so although I'm not convinced about the extra continents and the extra rings around the Earth, I have actually hypothesized a way that it could work, and that would be because of my research into the double rainbows. And I'll be going into more detail about this hypothesis in a later video, so don't forget to click your notification bell so that you don't miss it. But that theory involves a discussion about the double rainbow being possible, several layers of the dome, and it all fits in nicely with this double rainbow hypothesis, where you can see how if that gap between the lower part of the dome and the upper part of the dome exists, that would actually leave room for that outer ring where there could be a second circle outside of the dome contained within its own firmament. You can almost have your double ring ice wall theory work with that model.
And so before we get out of here, let's cover one last interesting theory about how there could be possible extra continents. This theory is going to go dimensional.
And so in the Dark Tower movie, the gunslinger has an interesting take on the circle of the Earth, where he says that there can be many worlds contained within the circle of the Earth.
I just don't know what this is.
It's a map. My father showed me a map like this once. Inside the circle is your world and my world. Many others. No one knows how many. The Dark Tower stands at the center of all things.
And so that could be a pretty interesting idea about this circle Earth area. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section. And so in this video, we discussed that the second ice wall ring might not exist just due to the logistics of it all. Or are you leaning more towards this double rainbow theory, where that could actually leave room for an outer ring and a double ice wall, where you can have some type of system with living quarters outside of the dome? And then we also discussed how this one circle could possibly have multiple realities all contained within this one circle. And so out of those three hypotheses, which one do you prefer the most? Let me know in the comment section. I'm interested in seeing the results.
Now, some flat earthers will insist that the dome idea is a mental trap to keep people from realizing that we're living on an infinite plane. But in this video, we covered how the dome actually makes a lot of sense when it comes to atmospheric pressure. But there's also some other reasons why there might be a dome. So let's talk about that real quick before we get out of here.
So I suppose you can consider this circle Earth area as a quarantined area. You can't get out of this place by going up. You can't get out of this place by going south and trying to get beyond Antarctica. You can't get out of this place. I believe this place is designed to keep us contained within this circle Earth area. I believe the reason why you are contained within this domed area in this circle of the Earth with barriers is because we are being tested. There have even been some biblical scholars who have suggested that this Earth realm is kind of like a literal limbo area, so that the Creator can figure out whether or not you pass or if you will be thrown into the lake of fire. With life and death being a reality on this place, it's pretty clear that this is a very serious place that you are in. I believe you are put on this Earth realm in order to decide your fate.
They have programmed all of us to spend all of our days at work, and we're so occupied with reporting to our jobs every day and spending most of our time at a corporation that by the time we get home from our day jobs, we barely have enough time to really tap into our main purpose about why we are here. Most people, by the time they get home from work, they are exhausted. They just want to relax and indulge in some entertainment. Yeah, I believe it's important that you enjoy yourself down here, but I believe this place is much more serious. I believe we are contained within this dome firmament for a reason.
Check out my Proof Antarctica is Not What You Were Told playlist for much more information on the subject. I'll leave a link in the comment section and the description box. Simply enter your email address at feedyourmind1.com.
That way I can send you some cool news briefs throughout the week.
It's completely free. Simply like, comment, share, and subscribe, and include your favorite Flat Earth proof, and you're automatically entered into a chance to win a free collectible from my Feed Your Mind pop-up shop. Please chip in $1 to $5 on my Patreon page. I got some cool gifts for you over there, because a truth channel like this is going to require us to be listener supported for me to be able to continue to put out videos. Thanks for your support.
Please click your notification bell. This has been another episode of Feed Your Mind. Thank you for tuning in. Signing off. You are listening to Feed Your Mind. In today's video, we will explore mountains in a way that just might change the way that you see the very earth that you walk on beneath your feet. And so in my previous video about lava, tectonic plates, and Pangea, we discussed how the scientific explanation of why mountains form on land is due to tectonic plates pushing together, forcing the ground into a mountain. Well, in this video, we will explore alternate explanations of what mountains might actually be. Now, many of you out there are already familiar with some of these mountains being possible remains of giant trees. Mountains like the Devil's Tower. The similarities are very clear, and then we must wonder if this is just a coincidence or not. Did these mountains just happen to be in the shape of a tree stump, or is this actually evidence of possible giant trees? It's not just the Devil's Tower. There are many mountains that actually resemble possible giant tree stumps. And upon investigation, I have even linked some of these giant tree stumps to what we have been told is meteor impact sites. All of these meteor impact sites appear to be impacts that were straight down impact sites. None of these impact sites seem to be at an angle. And so what do you think? Could some of these meteor sites be the remains of where a giant tree once stood? And so it's one thing to consider some of these mountains being giant trees that are now petrified and appear to us as what we have been told as mountains. But the thing is, a lot of these mountains are not only shaped as possible giant tree stumps, but get this, there are lots of mountains that actually resemble the shapes of many other organic creatures that might have been petrified. Petrification is said to be the process by which an organic matter is exposed to minerals over a long period of time, turning it into a stony substance. And so basically they're saying petrification is when an organic object is turned into stone. But these findings that we have discussed in this video brings into question what actually is this petrification process. And so scientists say petrification is a process that takes millions of years, but there's plenty of evidence to the contrary. There was reports of a boot being found. And so when they opened up the boot, they found a leg in the boot with a foot attached to it still, and the lower part of the leg and foot was petrified. And so upon further investigation of this boot, it was determined that this boot was manufactured somewhere around 1950. And so this could be possible evidence that petrification is not what we have been told. In my research, there's also reports that some of these Nephilims were up to possibly 2 miles in height. And so seeing these mountains in the shapes of various creatures and some of these mountains in the shape of what appears to be giant Nephilim beings, could all of this just be a coincidence? Like maybe we see a cloud in the sky and we say, hey, that looks like Mickey Mouse or something? Or is this something more than that? I mean, the thing that strikes me about all of these discoveries is that it's not just the tree stumps, it's also many other objects that people are discovering. And so if it was just the tree stumps, I could see, okay, maybe we're reaching a little bit. But now with this new information about some of these mountains being in the shapes of giant beings, the story is just getting stranger and stranger.
By the way, speaking of giants, you might want to check out my Dinosaurs Were Not What You're Told video, where we discuss
alternative options of what dinosaurs might have been, plus much more. I'll leave the link in the comment section and in the description box. And so there definitely seems to be evidence of giant creatures back before the times of the Great Flood, which was the times of Noah, and any time before that. And relatively speaking, that might not have even been that long ago. And so I actually stumbled across some more evidence that there were giants before the times of Noah. And these teachings are based around the fact that they say Adam lived to be around 930 years old. Not only was it Adam that lived to be a very long age, but it's also said that all of his descendants lived to be very old, way older than we are able to become now. You see, they say right from Adam on to the times of Noah, people were living up to about 1,000 years old. And this was the normal lifespan of a human being in those times. But not only are some researchers saying that people live to be about 1,000 years old, but they're also saying that people might have been much, much taller than now. And so this puts a whole different spin on what we have been told about Nephilims. If Adam on to Noah were much taller than people are now and lived much longer, that might be connected to why when the fallen angels came down and made it with the humans, the offsprings of the Nephilim were said to be giant beings. Some say 30 feet tall, up to 2 miles tall. Could this be one of those things that was just kind of hidden right in front of our eyes the whole time? What are these mountains? Could these mountains be actual remains of giant things that once was on this earth? Are these mountains more than just piles of rock? All of this information is leading to much more interesting questions about this earth. Could this be all an intentional cover-up going on here? I mean, what are these strange mounds and these strangely shaped mountains? Could it all just be a strange coincidence that these mountains are in the shapes of various organic things? I mean, what is this giant owl-like structure that the Illuminati are worshiping in the woods? Maybe they all know about these giant creatures that were once living organic beings that somehow have become petrified objects that still resemble various creatures. And if that's the case, what turned these creatures into stone? I mean, that reminds me of like the gargoyle myth, where they say these gargoyles turn into stone when they're sleeping. But the thing is, where did they get that idea from? I mean, this information is even beginning to make me question some statues that we think might have been carved by someone. I mean, are some of these stone statues actually previous beings that were turned into stone? Was there some type of punishment or curse onto these beings to turn into stone? I mean, you just never know. I mean, some of these mountains definitely appear to be in the shape of a giant beings. So one of the most popular theories is that these mountains were the remains of the Titans of old. I believe these beings manifested here on Earth from the spiritual realm. These beings were much taller than the giants. The Greeks considered these beings to be the Titans of old, and there was said to be a great flood that covered the earth. After these floods subsided and the waters drained underneath the earth, everything left on top was covered with mud, including the remains of these giants, because of course nobody would have been able to bury them, and these beings ended up buried in mud, and when the sun came out, it baked the mud into these structures that are here on earth right now that we consider mountains. Now, I'm not saying all the mountains were formed this way, but there's a possibility that some of these mountains could indeed be much more than what we were told. And so Ecclesiastes 3:20 in the Bible speaks of mankind being formed from dust and returning to dust. So what actually are we walking on? Does that mean that they just turn back into dirt and they become part of the earth again? What is soil? I mean, what is land? What is this dirt beneath our feet that we consider earth? And also in that movie Noah, the strange thing about the movie is that they had these Nephilim creatures that were actually rock creatures. Maybe they were trying to reveal to us these mountains are actually the remains of the giants, and they are now petrified and appear to be mountains. And so another interesting connection that I made with all of this information is that I remember in the Bible in Genesis 19, I believe, is where two angels came into the town of Sodom and warned Lot to take his family and flee the area because the place was about to be destroyed by God. And so Lot and his wife were instructed to not look back upon the destruction of Sodom. So as they were fleeing the city, Lot's wife actually looked back at the destruction of the city as she was told not to. And the Bible says that she turned into a pillar of salt. And so, yeah, that's not actually stone or a mountain, but it actually kind of fits with what we're discussing in this video because the scripture speaks about a human being turning into what would be kind of like a statue or something. And so if Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt, she would appear as some type of humanoid-like structure. So I thought I'd include that into this discussion. Not only that, it turns out that even the place where Jesus was said to have been crucified, which is a place called Calvary. This place is in Jerusalem, but this mountain area is not only known as Calvary, but it's also known as Skull Hill. And when you examine pictures of this mountain, you can actually see a shape of a face in the mountain. Could this be the actual skull of a giant? The similarities are striking, and it appears that this is more than just a coincidence from basic mountain erosion. This place is actually referred to in all 4 Gospels in the Bible. Some have referred to this place as Golgotha. To me, that sounds kind of similar to the name Goliath. I don't know, could this be like the skull of Goliath or something? After doing further research, I was able to discover that there is reports that David killed Goliath and cut off his head and brought the head back to Jerusalem. And so if all of this is true, then all of this evidence would start to come together pretty good. But I've discovered something even more striking. There's reports that the Ark of the Covenant was discovered in Skull Mountain that we now call Calvary.
And so the interesting coincidence is that there was a scripture about the enemy being bruised in the head. Well, if this Skull Hill location is indeed the head of a giant and it was bruised in the head and Jesus bled over this area and it happened to be right over the area where the Ark of the Covenant was discovered, this whole situation just makes one amazing coincidence and timing for all of this to have taken place. There's a researcher by the name of Ron Wyatt who claimed to have proof of all of this. Let's check out what he found at this location of Skull Hill.
The Ark of the Covenant was symbolic of God's presence. Over this box there was a lid, known as the mercy seat. According to tradition, the Ark and other temple treasures had remained hidden throughout the time of the Babylonian invasions, throughout the 70-year exile of the Jews in Babylonia, and also the entire Second Temple period. They remained hidden throughout the centuries while Jerusalem was under foreign domination, and they remained hidden to the present day. Among those who had sought to find the Ark were Adolf Hitler. His Nazis believed the Ark to be a mystical artifact which would give them supernatural powers over mankind. Mussolini also sought to capture the Ark. The hope was to find a cave that might be down at the original ground level. And so the excavation began. Well, it was not long before there were uncovered several niches resembling recessed bookcases. And as the digging went deeper, there were found to be 3 of these, and Ron came along over the stones between them and the ceiling. He glimpsed a black stone case. It had a flat stone top, which was cracked completely in 2, and there was found to be a crack in the ceiling. The crack was immediately above the crack in the lid of the stone case. The crack came down through the rock, leapt as it were through the air, then started again. Very, very odd. The crack extended through 20 feet, 6 meters of solid rock. The earth shook violently. At the moment of Jesus' death, the rock was torn open, and the blood came down out of his side, down past his legs, down over his feet. It poured into the crosshole and down through the crack in the rock that had been opened to receive it, then straight onto the lid of the stone case, and it sprinkled onto the mercy seat inside that stone case, the mercy seat of the actual Ark of the Covenant. And how do we know that? Because the crack has been closely examined, and it shows copious amounts of blood having flowed down into it. It's still there, and it's human blood.
Now, isn't it interesting how this investigation into the mountain mysteries has led us to such an incredible twist in the whole investigation that has led us to these incredible findings at Skull Hill? Well, let's hear what the scientists who researched the blood, and also let's hear what Ron Wyatt had to say himself about these findings. And let me know in the comment section what you think about all of this.
So this blood is unique, and it is Christ's blood.
Leviticus 17:14 informs us that the life of all flesh is the blood thereof. Once again, scientists are finding out that the truths of Scripture are far more literal
than they ever imagined. Tiny particles have been discovered in blood that are seemingly indestructible. These tiny particles are less than 1/10 of a micron in size, and while they cannot be seen using standard medical microscopes, new methods of microscopy have been developed, which makes it possible to see them in their living state. The French scientist Gaston Naessens designed special microscope components that would allow him to see these particles, which he entitles somatids, meaning the body that creates. Through experimentation, Professor Naessens found that these somatids contain genetic material yet to be fully understood by the scientific community. They are polymorphic in nature, growing from stage to stage, and are unaffected by high temperatures, extremely toxic chemicals, or even nuclear radiation. Professor Naessens believes these somatids to be subcellular, living, and reproducing entities, the precursor of DNA, and that they may be the building blocks of life. The microscope employs an extremely bright xenon or mercury light source, which can be combined with tungsten light. The light reflecting off the object is transmitted through the microscope and is magnified over 1,000 times. The image is then captured by a sensitive CCD camera and transmitted to a monitor for viewing at screen magnifications of up to 30,000x. Under these conditions, the tiny living particles can plainly be seen against a dark background. One evening, Mary Nell Wyatt asked me to take a look at some material from a burial cave to see if these tiny particles were present. Without my knowledge, one of the samples was actually the blood sample that Ron had taken from the Ark of the Covenant dig. The sample was placed under the microscope, and as the specimen began to come into focus, thousands of tiny particles, somatids if you will, became plainly visible. At that time, Mary Nell, who was standing behind me, began to weep. As I turned around and saw the expression on her face, I realized immediately that the sample we were looking at was actually the sample that Ron had found to be the blood of Christ. Okay, Mary Nell's going to take the sample and mix it with sterile water in a test tube there. And she's going to take some sterile water, just some drops, all we need, Mary Nell. Okay, so now that we've got the sample on the slide, we'll go ahead and focus into the sample and see what comes up on the screen here. And there they are, thousands of living particles, less than 1/4 of a micron in size. The spores are maybe a 1/2 micron, and but most of those little particles that you're looking at are 17,000 x magnified on the screen 17,000 times. You know, in the Bible it tells us that the life is in the blood, and there's little living particles that most people are unaware that are there. And this is the same thing we see in living blood. The scientist in Canada says that these things never die. The blood may dry up, but these things, he says, they're indestructible, and he says they are the basis of life.
Said that you had the blood of our Lord examined by the Israelis.
That's correct.
What was their determination of that?
Real quickly, okay. Dried blood is dead blood. Everybody knows that, all right? They can test the blood of the pharaohs, the mummies of the pharaohs, all right? There's certain things they can do. They cannot get a chromosome count by any method I'm familiar with, all right? Things keep changing. I don't profess to know everything. However, there's no way I know that you can get a chromosome count out of dead blood. You can get a DNA and some other things, but not a chromosome count, all right? That's done by living white blood cells. Now then, first of all, in this analysis, I took the blood into a laboratory in Israel. I asked one of the people I work with in antiquities where is a good laboratory that does reliable work? And they said, such and such, such and such. I took it. I just said, please examine this blood and tell me what you can tell me about it. All right? They said, well, look, we're going to reconstitute it. We're going to put it in normal saline and keep it at body temperature for 72 hours with gentle swirling. All right, that's their business. That's great. I said, now I want to be there when you check it out. They said, fine. So I was back. They checked it out. I said, now, they said it's human blood. We can tell that. They did whatever tests they need to do. And then I said, take some of the white blood cells and put them in a growth medium and keep them at body temperature for 48 hours. And they said, well, that'll do no good because it's dead blood. I said, would you please do that for me? And they said, okay, we'll do it. So anyway, I said, I want to be there when you take it out and examine it. So I was back there. They took it out, examined it under a microscope, and the one technician called the other one over there, and then they called the boss over there, and they were talking Hebrew a mile a minute there for a little bit, and they looked at me and they said, Mr. Wyatt, this human blood only has 24 chromosomes in it. Everybody else has 46. You see, 23 from your mother, 23 from your father, 22 autosomes from your mother, 22 autosomes from your father. You get an X from your mother, you may get an X or a Y from your father, all right? This blood had 23 chromosomes from the mother's side, one Y chromosome only. You see, a child could not have developed if they hadn't had the autosomes from the mother. So all of his physical characteristics were determined by his mother's side of the family, her autosomes. His maleness was determined by this one Y that came from a source, not a human male. Then they said, this blood is alive. And then they said, whose blood is this? I said, it's the blood of your Messiah. And I assure you those men's lives have changed.
Now, what I would like every man, woman, and child in this audience to remember, if you forget everything else, Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God, in full cooperation with his Father, loved us to the point that they were willing to do that on our behalf. It's done, folks. We have been bought with a price. But it'll do us no good unless we go to the Father in the name and blood of his Son and ask for forgiveness and restoration to his likeness.
So I believe we have discussed enough information in this video. Like I said, I'm not completely sure where I stand on all of this information. Some of the information that stands out to me is the Skull Mountain. A lot of these mountains definitely appear to be in the shape of humanoid beings and other animal-like creatures. The Devil's Tower definitely looks like a tree stump. But let me see what you all have to contribute to this discussion in the comments section.
For much more information, watch my Secret Visitors of Earth playlist. I'll leave the link in the comment section and the description box.
Simply enter your email address at feedyourmind1.com. That way I can send you some cool news briefs throughout the week.
It's completely free. If you support this channel, chip in $1 to $5 and you can join my VIP room for early releases, free gifts, and much more. Links in the comment section and the description box. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click your notification bell. Include the title of your favorite video and you're automatically entered into a chance to win a free gift from my Feed Your Mind pop-up shop. This has been another episode of Feed Your Mind. Thank you for tuning in, signing off.
Patreon subscribers and new listeners. You are listening to Feed Your Mind. In today's video, we will discuss how hollow earth is not what you were told. And so basically, if you think about the hollow earth from a spherical earth's perspective, you will see how the southern pole is supposed to have a hole and then the north pole is supposed to have a hole. Well, on the south pole, you would be underneath a basketball, which really doesn't make much sense unless you think that gravity is some type of an actual thing. And that would mean it's some type of intelligent force, because if you have people upside down on the south pole where Antarctica is supposed to be, and if you think about the earth as a basketball, you're really getting into science fiction land there. And then there's an entry place where you can go inside the earth and then you live on the inside of a ball. So really, if you think about this hypothesis from a globe earth perspective, you see how it's kind of loony. But if you think about it from a flat earth perspective, you will start to see that it makes much more sense. And so on the north pole of a basketball, you would be on the top, where they say there's another hollow earth entry. But then you got to remember the earth is tilted at a 23.4 degree angle, which would actually be 66.6 degrees from a right degree angle, which kind of seems like some interesting mathematics there, doesn't it? But back to the point though, if the basketball is at that 23 degree angle, saying that you're sitting at a tilted axis and you're not falling off the face of the globe? Oh, because gravity is keeping you there, right? Well, for Earth to remain at a perfect tilted axis, as you suggest, and still managing to fly through outer space and fulfill all of the orbital agreements between all of the planets and their moons and everything, that would mean gravity would definitely have to be some type of intelligent force or some type of program or something designed to multitask and do everything that you're saying it's doing. So the whole hollow earth theory from a globe earth perspective really would make a whole lot more sense if you get rid of the whole spherical earth idea and put the idea of some type of cave systems or some type of dimensional hypothesis or a Sheol hypothesis will pretty much simplify the whole discussion and know that what's up is up on the flat earth and what's down is down. So if there is some type of living quarters underneath the earth, it just really makes the whole hypothesis of a hollow earth much more simplified and make much more sense. Because now we're saying that there's simply something going on underneath the ground that we're walking on. And the only model where up is up and down is down would be a flat earth. There is no goofy ideas where you're on a ball and up is one direction when you're on the South Pole and up is a whole nother direction on the side of the ball in America, and then up would be a whole different direction when you're on top of the ball. But on a flat earth, up is just up and down is down. So the hollow earth would be simply alleged living quarters beneath the earth. And so we go into a deep discussion about this in a epic hollow earth discussion. The video is called Our Caves, Tunnel Systems to the Hollow Earth. I'll leave a link in the comment section and the description box. I'll see you over there. Make sure you're subscribed when you land on the video, because I uploaded this video on another channel. So please check your subscription status once you get over there and make sure you're subscribed. We're going to go into much more detail about everything we just touched on in this video. Once again, the links in the comment section and the description box. I'll see you over there right now.
This is Feed Your Mind. That's all they keep saying. How could everyone be lying to us? That's the logic that FTFE, better known as Fight the Flat Earth, that's the logic that he uses, and a whole lot of other globers, they like to say that as like the final reason why and the most logical reason why the FE information is not valid. They like to say there's no way everyone across the world, all these space agencies, all these scientists and millions of, physics professors and all types of college educated folks around the world are all in on it, trying to lie to us, right? So this is a subject that really kind of bothers me, especially when it's not answered right. Like if there's a debate and someone says that, one of these globers, and I don't hear a strong rebuttal, I get kind of bothered. That's why I'm making this video, because I did kind of cover this in another video before, but I'm going to dig a little deeper and really focus on this topic once more, because I really get bothered when this question isn't answered properly. It gets me annoyed that this question is even allowed. When somebody asks that question, I believe they need to get completely humbled after, because it's like the easiest question to respond to. First of all, obviously millions and millions of people are not lying to us, first of all, okay? Millions of NASA employees are not lying to us and space agencies. Most people that work for these space agencies and all these scientists and all these folks that are pushing the globe on us, not all of them are lying to us. Actually, there's been estimates that it could be less than 1% of them would actually even know about flat earth and the truth about this earth. Okay, you have all, so stop saying that. Stop trying to say that we're being lied to on a mass scale like that, because I don't believe it's intentional that a lot of the, these teachers are teaching us about heliocentrism in the globe at kindergarten. Okay, the teacher isn't lying to us. They believe the lie. The teacher believes what they were told, and it's been going on like that for at least, some are saying like 500 years or so now, where everyone's pretty much just accepted that the earth is a heliocentric model without even questioning it. So for a long time now, people have just been passing on the information. Nobody's been questioning it. They're saying, how are these airplane pilots lying to us and all these people? No, everyone they just drive the plane. The people at NASA just go to work and work on whatever they got to work on. And they finish out their day and they go home. Most people, all right? Even at NASA, it's probably, I think all across, it's probably less than 1% would know. That's how it works. It's compartmentalization. It's kind of like how just because you work at a restaurant, you don't know the recipe for the secret sauce. The employee just is there to take your order. They don't know the ingredients of everything on the menu. They don't know all the inside dealings with the company. They're just reporting to work. So it's very easy to shut this question down. I want to get to a point where no one's asking this type of question anymore, because everyone's going to start to realize how ridiculous that question is in the first place. To me, this whole thing about the heliocentric thing is probably not just man-made either. It's probably the fallen ones involved in this idea that we are living on a heliocentric globe model. I believe this has to do with a bigger plan for humanity. First of all, it removes us from intelligent design when they push this globe. It leaves the door open for atheism. It actually creates atheism, because there's no room for atheism on a flat earth model. Okay, so that's one of the biggest reasons I believe some of these people like FTFE and Reg Rhetoric and all these other people are so against flat earth, is because they know this is challenging their worldview, that they want to believe that life just appeared out of nothingness and everything's just here as a big accident. And once you take that away from them, they're going to have to face that there's a creator. And it's like, look, nobody's saying you got to run to a religion or anything. We're just saying that you will now have to acknowledge that there's a creator of this earth. Okay? That's a starting point, because there's no other room for anything else once you start to realize the truth about this earth. It 100% proves this place is intelligently designed. There's no way around it. So that's going to start your journey, or the atheist journey, to have to abandon what they've been told, because they don't want to believe that they've been in a religion. Okay? I recently watched a flat earth debate with DITRH, and he was debating against some ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. And, some of these people they don't trust religion anymore. They don't want to be involved in a religion anymore. But the thing is, they don't understand. The heliocentric deception is a religion. The atheists don't understand that either. They don't understand that they are in a religion. It's actually literally a religion, because it was founded by a Catholic priest, a lot of this stuff, when it comes to the Big Bang theory, and even the heliocentric deception was all originated with the Catholic Church. So they don't understand that they literally are in a religion where the sun is the center of worship. That's why Sunday is a form of worship for a lot of people, and then for the people that don't worship at a religion on Sunday, they have heliocentrism as their permanent Sunday, because everything, all these planets with pagan names are worshiping the sun by revolving around it. Everything revolves around this center, sun. It is sun worship. So whether you go to worship on Sunday or not, you're involved in sun worship. There's no way. That's how they set up this society, where they try to make everyone subconsciously worship the sun. Now, as far as all of these countries being in on it, all these space programs, of course they're in on it. Look at the Antarctic Treaty, okay? So at the highest levels, yeah, they're all in on it, okay? All of these countries are not allowed to explore Antarctica. So there's people in the know. There is people in the know on this earth that are controlling us. Like I said, I believe it's demonically influenced for us to have this heliocentric deception in the first place. There's a plan going on. There's a battle that shows us there's something about that Bible that was trying to tell us that there is a battle of forces. It looks like there's entities that want us to believe a false reality about this place, because they don't want us to understand who we are. So they're they're helping mankind to create an illusion, which is the heliocentric deception, in order to control us. Now, when it comes to the astronauts lying to us, a lot of them could be involved in the CGI program of the ISS and stuff like that, and presenting a false image of space and stuff. But even some of them don't need to know, because, well, first of all, they're saying that pretty much every single astronaut is involved with the secret groups. I can't even say, the names of these groups. You know what I'm talking about, though. They're secret groups, right? That we're not allowed to really talk about. Well, they're saying most astronauts are actually part of those groups. So right there, those groups are involved in secrecy. And also, a lot of these astronauts are involved in some type of a hierarchy of command. There's a need to know basis on a lot of these departments, of the military and stuff like that. So they just take orders. So if they're told to do what they're doing in space, they, first of all, are probably at a level where they could even be accepted into such a thing. And then they do what they're told. So they know that, so they know what they're doing as far as deceiving people, but they don't necessarily know why. So, or they could know. The astronauts could know the reason, or they could not know. Who knows? Who really knows? But we know they're just being told. They're doing as they're being told, basically, because there's clearance levels. Okay, there's clearance levels of information and compartmentalization. So they're ordered to do what they have to do. There was even people that came out. I released a video about the moon guy. So this guy was basically a security guard for the moon situation, and he told his son everything, and he said, yeah. So basically, there's non-disclosure agreements where they don't need to know exactly why they're faking stuff, but they know for sure that if they tell anyone, they've signed on to have their whole life terminated, basically, if they've agreed to that, where they're not allowed to speak on what you know, what they did as far as keeping it a secret. So basically, there is people that know down here. I'm not saying that everyone's just going along with it and they're all just clueless. No, there is a certain percentage of people that know about what's going on and in control of this earth. And let me know, how many do you think, like, what's the percentage of the people lying to us do you think it is? Do you think it's 1% or do you think it's more or less? Like I said, I've had estimates of around 1% would probably know. But let me know if you think it's more than that. I mean, it wouldn't take a whole lot. The less, the better. You know, the less in the know of why they're hiding this stuff from us, the better for them. So I would think that it would be at the highest levels of power of the people down here that would know. They have tricked the world into heliocentric sun worship, and the fallen ones, I believe, are behind it. At the very top, these secret groups are ran by entities. Some of these entities are physical, some are invisible. Okay, they're in contact and communion with these things. They channel these things. These things have been helping, well, these entities have been helping humanity with technology and order of this world and structure. And I believe they've helped implement this world as it is today. You know, the way everything's ran with these countries and everything. I believe that they've been involved with all of that. And when it comes to the heliocentric deception, that's part of their plan. And they have a bigger plan that we're going to get into in another video. I'm going to explain this goes much deeper as to why they wanted to implement this plan. We covered a little bit in this video, but it goes much deeper. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you click your notification bell, and we'll get into that at another time. So I'm going to leave some links for you all. I'm going to leave a link to my free email newsletters and my other channels and my social media accounts. Plus, I'm going to leave a link if you would like to support this channel. You can donate as little as $1 if you want to help keep Feed Your Mind online. Plus, your support is going to help me get much more documentary-style videos out. I also have a membership button here on YouTube if that works better for you. So thanks for tuning in. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This has been Feed Your Mind signing off. This is Feed Your Mind, and so the Flat Earth Awakening will change the world, and this is why. It's because heliocentrism was specifically designed by the fallen ones in order to, well, some people say the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was to make people think he doesn't exist. Well, that's not exactly all of the story, you see. The heliocentrism model was also and mainly created to make people think God or the Creator doesn't exist. You see, that's the greatest trick, is to hide the Creator. You see, there's evidence all around us that this place is intelligently designed. Life itself is a proof of God or the Creator, if you will. Consciousness is a proof of the Creator. The complex river systems that transports and distributes water across the earth and moves so that everybody has fresh water. Well, that's a proof of intelligent design. You see, atheists are looking all around themselves like, there's no proof of God. They just can't find them anywhere, right? Well, it's right in front of their face. Proof of God is right in front of their face. It's just that the heliocentric model has removed the Creator from their world, so they can no longer see Him. They can no longer see the Creator because they're blinded by heliocentrism. You see, when Kent Hovind debates these atheists, he doesn't understand. He's going into the scientific, well, the science fiction world, and he's like, has it both ways. He wants to be a heliocentrist, but at the same time teach them about creation. So he doesn't understand that he has his hand in both jars. He can abandon the heliocentric model and really show them what science has done to their minds. But, he refuses to acknowledge that that heliocentrism is the lie that created atheism. When they created the heliocentric model, that led to the creation of the Big Bang Theory. Both of these theories are created by the Jesuits and the Roman Catholics. Copernicus made the heliocentric model, and George Clemente made the Big Bang Theory. Both Catholic priests. So atheists are Catholics. They're Roman Catholics. Scientists and atheists are Roman Catholics, and they don't even know it. They just believe, you know, and they don't understand that there's no proof, there's no evidence, there's no facts when it comes to their heliocentric model. It's all theory. It's theoretical science, if you will. Or you can just say it's science fiction, which is more accurate. So the Flat Earth Awakening will awaken the Creator within humanity. The Flat Earth Awakening will show the world the Creator and the truth. That it will remove the scales from their eyes so that they can see the complex, intelligently designed river systems and the intelligently designed season system and the clock system of the sky that is perfect. And it'll help people see that life is a proof of God. Consciousness is a proof of God. Everything around you, you can see a lot of evidence of God. It's all over the place. It's like the Matrix is everywhere. Proof of God is everywhere. Proof of God is in everything, and it's everywhere, and it's right in front of these atheists' face. It's right in front of everyone's face. So the Flat Earth Awakening is crucial because, like I said, the heliocentric model is the result of the heliocentric model is the Big Bang Theory and false information like evolution. And so when you throw out all that stuff, you throw out the heliocentric model, you're throwing out the Big Bang Theory, and you're throwing out evolution. So that's important because once those things are removed, all you have left is the Creator. And then people can really begin to awaken. And once we awaken to the fact that we're in a Truman Show, if you will, or if you might want to look at it different, you can see this place as like a learning place, a school, or it's just a place for us to live and enjoy life and physical reality and appreciate life and grow and gain knowledge. You see, it opens the doors once you realize that there's a Creator. It opens the doors to focus on healing and our abilities that we have with our mind, just as the Creator created this place with His thoughts and words. We also are in the image of the Creator, and we create things with our thoughts and words. You see, everything that comes into our mind is that's how you got this, the architecture of the earth and the complex road systems and the plumbing systems that distribute water to our homes and the electric grid. You know, all that stuff was formed in the mind before it was a physical reality. So we have abilities and we do things in the image of the Creator. We do things the same way by using our minds. Now, once we start unlocking the mysteries of what we can really do with our minds, we can increase our abilities with our group think and our will, and our just knowing that we have these abilities to use our mind is much more powerful than what they would like us to know. And I find it interesting that most people are right-handed. I mean, like, is that another thing to make people like, I don't know. Who knows? But I just know that they tell us that left-handed people use the right side of their brain, so that they use a more creative side of their brain, and right people have more of a right-handed people have more of a logical thinking structure, more scientific, like, so it would be like a harder barrier to penetrate through when it comes to information that is not mainstream. So if that's true, maybe there's a reason why most people are right-handed, and but it's not saying that they can't become conscious, but maybe it's just another barrier, another little trick they do. I know they use words. They use words to trick us too. I mean, a lot of the words have double meanings. Like the word weak, that's a negative, kind of a negative term, because weak is the opposite of strong. So there's a lot of little clever things they put in our language, you know. So, I mean, look, people need to snap out of it and figure out where they live so that they can continue to develop their mind into a more powerful tool. We can learn our abilities to heal ourselves, and we can learn much more. There's a lot of things we can do with our minds, and once we realize that hearing negative things, like what they try to tell us on the news, there's always something they want you to be afraid of and fear, and there's all these invisible things out to get you. You know, once people realize that's not good for your health, to continue to hear things like that, and especially to believe it, you can experience the things that you're believing. If enough people, especially if enough people believe it, which is why this is a war for our minds, because if enough people believe in a lot of things, then it's like magic. Then that's a form of magic and wizardry and mystic. It's a mystic form of psychological. You know, it's something that they do to our minds when they get the group to think something. They want it to develop into the real world, and so people start experiencing these things, and I mean, maybe that's how they get a lot of things going. Who knows? But, you know, I just know they understand, I believe, more about what our minds can do. So they use these, and it's important that people don't understand these things to them. They want to make sure people don't understand these things so that they can achieve the things that they want to achieve by using the things that we don't know that we can do with our minds. So once we learn about the flat earth, and once we awaken, it's harder to trick us. It's harder to trick people. People are more intelligent. People are more in tune with creation and with this world that was given to us for us to live in prosperous. Once people awaken to this information, they become aligned with the Creator, and they can begin to advance, and no longer will the Creator be hidden. Just like I said in the beginning, where the fallen ones were responsible for designing the heliocentric model. They have all the 666s in it. You can see a lot of their mathematics add up to 666 when it comes to, like, when you start looking into the heliocentric model, it shows up all over the place. They designed that model to hide the Creator. And it's important that they have the Creator, because it keeps us in this. That's the reason why this place is the way it is right now. It's because a good portion of people have lost touch with the Creator. And it all starts with the heliocentric model. So the flat earth will awaken the mind. And so if you support this channel, you want to help keep this channel online, because they try to silence us, you can support this channel with as little as $1. It's just like leaving your waiter a tip, and it helps keeps things going over here at Feed Your Mind, so I can continue to push forward and hopefully get back to my documentary style videos eventually. Also, I'll leave a link to my other channel, Feed Your Mind 3. I'm going to be over there putting out videos on other subjects that I don't cover on this channel. Also, I'll leave links to my social media. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts. At least like the video. At the very least, if everyone could start liking the videos, we can start pushing, getting these beating that algorithm and getting these videos out to more and more people. So thank you for tuning in. This has been Feed Your Mind, signing off.
How's it going out there? This is Feed Your Mind, and in today's video we're going to discuss the sky barrier, otherwise known as the firmament, and we're going to cover who put it there and why. And so before we get too much into who created the firmament, allow me to run over a few reasons why there is a firmament first. And so scientifically, air pressure requires a container, and so our atmosphere cannot exist with a vacuum directly above it unless there is some type of container to contain our atmosphere. And so the firmament barrier acts as a container so that we can breathe air. But also you can question if the firmament acts as a container for humanity as well, because the firmament also contains humans inside of the earth realm, which is the physical realm that we interact with every day. And the firmament is designed in a way where you don't really notice it. And so it acts as an invisible barrier. Because if the firmament was obvious, humanity would be spending all of their time trying to figure out what's on the other side of the firmament instead of going about daily life. And so I see the firmament kind of like a planetarium where the dome ceiling contains the stars and the planets. So we discussed in my previous videos how planets are not solid objects, so you're going to have to get caught up on that if you're not caught up yet. But pretty much the firmament barrier contains what appears to be a limitless, vast universe outside of it, but actually it's the decorations of the night firmament. And during the daytime, the firmament is lit up with a blue sky that some might suspect is waters above the firmament. But either way, during the night and the day, the firmament doesn't appear to be a barrier. It actually appears to us as a possible endless universe. And some people have questioned whether it's designed that way so that humanity isn't aware that we are actually contained in a limited earth realm. And so, for example, in a zoo, if there's a wilderness habitat where the animals do not realize that they're in an actual controlled environment, the animals are able to run freely. But if the animal is caged up in a zoo area with visible bars in front of them, they just pace back and forth and they feel like they're contained within a particular area, and that limits natural behavior. And so another reason why the firmament barrier might be there is because it might act as a fourth wall. Kind of like in a room with a two-way mirror, where if you're on the inside of the room, it looks like it's just a mirror, but really on the other side, there's people watching you. You can also reference the Jim Carrey movie called The Truman Show, where there's a fourth wall barrier. And they use fourth walls on movie sets as well, where the movie set will be set up like a house. And so when you're watching the TV show on television, all you see is a house, but really there's an audience on the fourth wall that they never show during the television show, because that's where the audience sits and that's where the cameras are and stuff. So the firmament barrier might act as a fourth wall. And it's possible that Nebuchadnezzar figured that out during the times of Babylon, because it is said in the Bible that all of the countries came together and started building a tower up to the heavens because they felt like there was something on the other side of the sky barrier. And they wanted to break through this sky barrier and see what's on the other side. And so if the firmament is the fourth wall barrier, would that make us like a video game or a movie or something? It's very possible. Also, the barrier might act as a divider between realms. And so we just discussed several reasons why the firmament barrier is there. So now let's get into who put it there. And so, well, with the evidence that we've uncovered in this series, we know for sure that the earth is a created place. And so to answer who put it there, it's the creator of the earth. And so there's a lot of research to suggest that there is a level above our firmament barrier. And on that level above us would be a place that people would call heaven. And then earth would be in the middle, and there would be a place called Sheol in the abyss below the earth. And so earth is a realm in between. And so the barrier is there to divide the realms and organize it accordingly. And there also is plenty of evidence to suggest that there's a firmament below the earth as well. And so that pretty much explains who put it there and why. So let's go into a little more detail. And so above the earth, there are said to be angelic beings. And these angelic beings were said to be created on the first or the second day of creation before human beings were created. These beings above the firmament are not said to have physical bodies, but some of the extra biblical books suggest that these angelic beings are made of different elements. Some are made of fire, some are made of air and wind, some are made of spirit. It sounds like they're pretty much made of anything but physical matter. And so when humans were created around the sixth day of creation, it is said that some of these angels became very interested in these physical creatures called human beings. And so it is said about a third of them had wanted to come down and interfere with the physical realm and experience what it's like to be in a physical body. So it is said that they came down to the earth realm and ended up getting banished out of heaven for what they did. And so when they came down and started tampering with human beings in the physical realm, they soon found out that they weren't able to go up above the firmament and back into heaven. And so they were no longer freely able to travel back and forth between realms. And so they became imprisoned beneath the firmament. And so the firmament barrier became a prison to the angels. And so as these angels were roaming the earth, they became leaders and were said to be titans. And so the giants were said to be the offspring of these fallen angels. And so these beings were said to be physical giants because they were part human and part angel. Deeper research suggests that the titans, who were the fallen ones, were able to manifest physically as well. And it's possible that as soon as they entered the earth realm, they might have become physical beings. And so after the flood of Noah, it is said to have wiped out all of the titans, which were the fallen angels manifested here on earth in physical form. And so when these titans fell, some say that these titans are now part of the landscape of earth, and a lot of the mountains that we see are actually the fallen titans. And the spirits that were animating these titans were said to be kicked below the earth firmament. And so they were booted out of this earth plane to the plane down below. And so as we mentioned before, there's a firmament beneath the earth. And so that's where these titans, which were the fallen angels, were said to have been banished beneath the earth in a place called Tartarus. And some say they were banished to the abyss. But whatever place this was, it's said to be beneath the earth. And there's a barrier that separates them from being able to come back up to the earth level. And as far as the giants, which were the offsprings of these titans, these giants' souls were abominations, so they were said to not have gone beneath the earth with the fallen angels. When the giants of the earth died in the flood, the spirits of these giants are said to be what we consider demons today. And so when people experience ghosts, apparitions, and all types of paranormal experiences, these are said to be the spirits that were dwelling in the giants, which were the offsprings of the fallen ones. The Conjuring movie series is said to be based on actual events that you can literally look up and see the documentation that these events actually occurred. And so this movie series actually documents evidence of paranormal activity in the spiritual realm. And so these demons are said to be spending their time trying to get back up to the heaven level, which is our sky firmament barrier. And they can't seem to get through it. And so the apocryphal Book of Solomon and other extra biblical texts suggest that when people see meteors and stuff like that, that's these demons that are trying to get into the heaven area near the sky barrier, and eventually they end up getting booted back down to the surface level of Earth. And that's what people see as meteors sometimes. So it's possible that these demons are influencing mankind to create different types of technologies like CERN and the HARP program and other types of technologies in order to try to create portals in order to try to break through the sky barrier firmament. And so when you see technology like HARP, it's possible that they're trying to heat up and charge the dome firmament in order to create a hole through it, in order to bust through the sky barrier. And then when you see technology like CERN, it's possible that they're trying to influence mankind to create portals to get through the sky barrier, because they figure that they can't break through it no matter how hard they try. Because back around the 60s, there was Operation Fishbowl and Operation Dominic and a few other programs where they attempted to use high altitude explosives in order to break through the firmament, but were unsuccessful in doing so. So they've pretty much figured they can't break through it with any type of physical technology. So now they're attempting to use alternative options. And so to wrap this video up, we discussed several reasons why there's a barrier in the sky and who put it there. We saw the scientific uses like oxygen and pressurized air. We also covered the more spiritual uses of the firmament. It's possible that this sky barrier not only acts as a divider of the realms, but also it acts as a prison for the fallen ones who were kicked out of the heavens from above the sky barrier. And so you can almost look at the firmament as several layers, and each layer is a quarantined area that is designed specifically for the beings that occupy each layer. And so check out my other videos about the firmament where we discuss what the firmament is made of, what is outside the firmament, plus much more. I'll leave the link in the comment section and the description box. Visit feedyourmind1.com and share the page with your friends and family for bonus videos, news, exclusives, links to my other channels, social media links, and much more. Gain access to secret videos, early releases, and sneak peeks at patreon.com/feedyourmind. All links are in the comment section and the description box. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click your notification bell. This has been another episode of Feed Your Mind. Thank you for tuning in. Signing off.
This is Feed Your Mind, and so there's a question that I was asking in my community tab. So to get to my community tab, you just go to my homepage and click community, and you'll end up on my community page. And that's where you can find these polls where I'm asking, is the moon a solid object? As expected, so far, most people are saying, no, it is not. But the next poll I'm going to put out is going to be a similar question, but you have to read the fine detail, because the next poll is going to say, does the moon appear to be a physical object? And so that's a completely different question. I would guess that if most people are being honest, you would have to probably say yes, the moon does appear to be a physical object. So what we're saying is the moon is not a solid object, but the moon appears to be a solid object. So what does that mean? Well, when I'm putting that information together, and I would guess most of us are creationists, so we believe that this place was created and not a random accident. So if the moon was placed there intentionally, as the Bible says, there's a greater light during the day and a lesser light during the night. That sounds a lot like they're talking about the sun and the moon. So why would the moon appear to be a physical object if it's not? Is that a clue? That seems to me like a big clue, because, well, with the craters on the moon, or what appear to be craters, that's what makes people believe that the moon's a physical object. They'll look at the shadows of the craters and look at, even some people might, I don't know if there's any observations with shadows at all on the moon, like besides craters possibly, but I know the crater shadows is a big one where they're saying that shows people that the moon's a physical object. And I think there's, like I said, shadows with the possible ISS, whatever, that's a whole different discussion about the ISS, but I don't know if people have said that there's shadows from that or shadows from anything else that they've noticed on the moon. I've heard a few things. So how are these shadows being depicted on the moon if the moon's not a physical object? Well, and the thing is about the craters, like, what actually are the craters? Are the craters are the craters there to make the moon appear as a physical object so that we are tricked into believing that? Then was the moon, were we tricked into believing the moon was a physical object? Because I would guess most people that don't look into this stuff very much, they would just assume the moon's a solid object just by looking at it. And then if you get your HD cameras or your telescopes and you zoom in, you can see all the fine detail of the moon and what appears to be a physical object. And so there I've heard some very rare theories that is it possible that the craters were not there before? Like, is there any evidence? Because we know that pictures haven't really been around that long, maybe about 100 years or something, or whatever, maybe a couple 100 years tops. But so we don't really have the proof that craters were on the moon before cameras were invented. So it's interesting that there's craters on the moon, I would believe. I mean, if you check out my moon playlist, I have some videos on there where we talk about the craters on the moon, and it's on the moon map video where I discussed the moon map and the ancient stories about how the craters of the moon got there. And there was some extra biblical passages that suggest that the moon was vandalized by the fallen one as he was getting kicked out of heaven, and he spat on the moon, and it vandalized the moon with these holes, and it must have been some acid spit or something, or maybe some fiery spit, as the fallen one has been described as a great dragon before. And so that's an interesting hypothesis to consider a biblical explanation for craters on the moon. I have pondered over this before, and it's like, well, if the moon's not a physical object, then most likely the craters of the moon would have been put there by the creator. Unless the moon is interdimensional, where like the spiritual realm would have had access to vandalize it to help with their story about heliocentrism. So another theory might be, this one would require you to go back to a physical moon, because another theory would be that possibly during Operation Fishbowl, when they were launching all these projectiles into the sky, possibly they vandalized the moon with their projectiles. The interesting thing about the craters of the moon is that they all seem to be at a 90-degree angle, and if they're saying that the craters were a result of meteorites, well, that doesn't make any sense then. And plus, with all those craters, are they saying that every single meteorite just bounced right back out into outer space after they hit the moon? There was no remaining craters or debris from the asteroids left on the moon. So it's pretty interesting, this discussion. I found this discussion very interesting, to try to figure out, why are craters on the moon? Was it to make us believe that the moon is a physical object? And why did they want us to believe the moon was a physical object? And was it God the creator who made it that way, or did somebody vandalize the moon to make it look that way? With the plasma idea, that enlightens us as well, because there was a scientist that was questioning if the moon was a plasma ball or something. And that's pretty interesting, because this happened before anyone had ever claimed they had went to the moon. So this guy, what was making him question if the moon was a physical object or not, if the moon appeared as a physical object. Maybe was there no craters on the moon at that time or something? I mean, what made him question if the moon was a physical object or not? I believe his theory almost suggests that the moon is made out of a similar substance as the sun, as some type of plasma thing, as far as what scientists claim the sun is. So I don't know. I mean, could the moon have bubbled up some type of, does it look like some type of bubbles were popping or something, or whatever, to make those craters? Who knows? I mean, I'd like to know your thoughts on, what do you think those craters are on the moon, and how did they get there? Was the moon created that way, or was it vandalized to look like that? I'd like to know your thoughts in the comment section. because it's pretty interesting to me that because the moon looks like a solid object, that's what opens the door for most people to just assume all planets are solid objects. You know, it's like they assume all planets are solid objects, and then they assume that Earth is a planet. And it's almost as if a lot of that thinking has to do with how the moon appears to be a physical object to us, whether it is or not. I mean, that's a whole nother question. I mean, Crow 777 had released some footage of lunar waves that makes the moon possibly appear like it could be some type of hologram and not really there. It's pretty interesting because the moon does behave very bizarre. I mean, I remember sitting at the park one time with the moon right in front of me. I look away, and then at first the moon's massive. I look away for a second, and then I look back after a while, and the moon's very tiny, and then I look away again, and then when I look back, the moon's gone. And then I look back later, and the moon's in a whole different part of the sky. So it definitely seems to behave very bizarre. I mean, the sun doesn't seem to do that. I mean, the moon just seems to follow you while you're driving, and just ends up popping up all over the place throughout the night, it seems like, at times. Sometimes it's pretty interesting how the moon behaves, actually. I don't know. I mean, it could be interdimensional. There could be a lot of reasons why the moon appears to be a physical object. I mean, but like I said, well, there's evidence that the moon is not a solid object for sure. Like there's observations of stars being seen through the moon. You know, there's also flags of different countries that show a crescent moon with a star in the middle, which is a clue possibly, because that suggests that maybe they have insight that the moon is not a solid object, and they're showing us how, you know, they're subconsciously showing us how you can see through the moon, just as many people have observed already with their own eyes. Also, we can see the blue sky through the moon at times, and then at nighttime, are we seeing the black sky through the moon? As we have said, we had seen stars through the moon, so that suggests the dark areas of the moon are transparent, and we're seeing the sky through the moon. So it's interesting what the moon is. I mean, it definitely does, like, when you zoom in on it, I would have to admit it probably does look like a physical object for sure. But like I said, there's evidence to suggest that it's not as well. There's a lot of evidence actually that suggests it's not a physical object. I don't know. It's a pretty interesting discussion, I thought, because it's just like, why are the craters on the moon? Why does it seem like it was intended for us to believe that it's a physical object? It's like, why do you think that it would be designed that way for us for it to look like a physical object if it's not? That's where I get, that's where I really want to brainstorm, because it's very interesting to try to figure that out. Like, why, if you're saying the creator created the moon with the craters in it, I mean, then it would appear to us as a physical object. And if it's not, why would he make it? Why would he want us to think the moon is a solid object if it's not? So that's the big question, and I'd like to know your thoughts in the comment section. So let's brainstorm on it. I'm going to leave a link to my moon playlist in the comment section in the description box as well. I'm also accepting $1 donations if you would like to support this channel, and help keep this channel online and help me get some documentary style videos out again instead of just these podcast style videos. I'd appreciate it. Also, I'm going to leave a link to my other channels and my newsletters, my free email newsletters, my social media, plus much more. So thank you for tuning in. This has been Feed Your Mind, signing off. This is Feed Your Mind. And so the ISS tracker actually proves flat Earth. The route it takes, it never pops up the other side by going south to north. It always goes east to west, which is circumnavigation. Your average uneducated glober, and I'm saying uneducated because they think that there's only one way to explain things. So when they first hear flat earth, they like to say they like to say things like everyone around the globe, or if I travel east, I'm going to end up west, back where I started. So they really like throw that out there, like they think like they got you instantly, and that just shows their lack of understanding that there's multiple ways, multiple logical ways to explain everything that they think is a globe earth proof. So when you look at the ISS route, you can see the same thing where it goes east to west. Now, east to west is circles, not just on a flat earth, but also on a globe earth. You see, the globe earth is a circle. It is a big sphere. So you can't go in a straight line. If you're going to go around the globe, like they like to say, that's not going in a straight line. That's going in a circle. If you look at the globe from the top down, so from the North Pole, and you look downwards and you see a globe sphere, and you see somebody, and then you see a circle, you can envision the circle around the globe, where if you travel around it, it's not a straight line. 100% it's not a straight line. Most people think, most globe earthers think you're just going in a straight line when you go east. So they're saying, oh, you're gonna end up right back where you started. No, you're not going in a straight line. 100%. You're going in a circle. Same thing on a flat earth. You're just going in a circle. The magnetic north is a circle. It corrects itself as you go east or west, and then you end up going in one big circle around the block and end up right back where you started. Nobody has ever traveled south or north. Well, you can do it north. You can travel north and end up in Antarctica eventually, but you can't go around Antarctica, though. That's the thing. So it's basically the globe's south pole is the place where nobody can ever say that they've traveled around the South Pole and came back up on the other side. Nobody has ever done that. And same thing with the ISS tracker. So if you use the ISS tracker, they like to say, well, this proves that there's a ISS in outer space. But why does the ISS follow the same rules as we do here on the surface of the earth? Why does the ISS refuse to go beyond Antarctica and come back up? Like, there's no motion of tracking the ISS where you can see the ISS disappear, where it would disappear over the South Pole and end up coming back up around the other side. It never happens. So, according to the research done by the DITRH channel, I'll leave a link for this demonstration in the comment section in the description box so you can check it out yourself. It will show you the route that the ISS takes, and it just proves that whether there's a vehicle up there or not, it's not doing the impossible. It's not doing the impossible. It's just going in circles. And I've actually seen this type of tracking before. It kind of reminds me of something, but I can't put my I can't think about what exactly that symbol came from. But there's like some type of symbol that looks like the path of the ISS route. Also, the planets, same thing. They don't disappear in some weird Pac-Man type thing where it disappears and then comes back up the other side. No, if you track the planets, which is actually the wandering stars, they're not planets, okay? I don't like to call them planets. I mean, you can just, well, even if you call them planets, that doesn't mean that Earth is a planet. You know, you don't look up in the sky and say, well, that's a planet, so that means we're on a planet. Now, we are going to have to get into the moon discussion eventually, because the moon is what appears to be what you would think is a solid object. So we're going to really have to get into that discussion again. I think that's what throws people off, because they see the moon, it looks like terra firma, you know, it looks like a solid object. So then they're thinking, okay, well, the moon's a solid object, so therefore planets are solid objects. And it's like, well, you know, that's not exactly the case. So that's gonna be another discussion though. But as far as the planets though, they're going in the same type of path where you won't see it disappear over some Pac-Man type thing where it goes beyond the Antarctic area and then comes back up the other side. You know, what would be the equivalent to that in the sky, you know? So what we see on Earth as so below is we see above. And so we see that the path of the planets and the path of the ISS don't do the impossible. They don't do the impossible. They follow a path that can be explained on a flat Earth model, and actually makes much more sense on a flat Earth model once you look at the demonstration. And then when you apply it to a globe Earth model, it actually looks kind of crazy. I mean, even with the wind patterns, you know, like they removed the wind pattern data in the ocean pattern, how the ocean travels around the Earth. It looks much more cleaner on a flat Earth circle than a sphere. The wind and the water patterns. So it made so much sense that the people who was running the data and running the website, they removed the wind patterns and the water patterns. I think it was called null skull or something. So they made it so you can only look at it from a globe spherical perspective, because they're afraid that when people look at it with the AE map perspective, with the circle Earth, the disc shape, that the wind and the ocean patterns make makes a whole lot of sense. So look, what we're gonna have to do is we'll probably have to get somebody to make their own website that shows the same pattern and uses the same data, and put that AE map back onto into the public, because they're obviously got afraid of that. Because you can't look at you know, it's confusion when you look at it from a spherical perspective. So we talked about water patterns and wind patterns before, and how, you know, they move. That in itself is a very interesting topic. How it moves like this conveyor belt, just constantly in movement, in a perfect motion, wind and water. So that's something to look into. You can check out those videos. I talked about that a while back. But as far as this ISS thing, I mean, I'll probably have to do another poll. We're going to have to figure out what you guys think. Is there an actual object in the sky? I've had a lot of ideas about what that object could be, if there is an object, some type of space vehicle in the sky. I've had definitely a lot of hypotheses about what it could be. There's also hypotheses that there is no space vehicle in the sky, or what it actually is in question. A lot of people have different thoughts on that, so I'll probably have to do some more polls, and so we can kind of start getting to the bottom of this and figuring it out with our groupthink, because groupthink is very powerful. It really helps clarify things when we put our minds together. You know, it's the way. That's why they like to stop a lot of that type of stuff. They don't like people to come together and figure stuff out. It's like detective, we're doing like detective work on a whole nother level with brilliant minds, like thousands of minds coming together on a subject to figure stuff out. It's like you can't beat that. Like one detective probably couldn't even, like a lot of the things that happen in this world, a lot of times you go to the internet and the internet will figure it out. And the detectives just have to sit back and let the internet figure it out. Especially, like there was a lot of rappers and stuff that had passed, a lot of stuff had happened, and then the internet figures out who did it and what happened and everything, and the streets talk and everybody comes together and they figure stuff out. And sometimes it's like, it feels like the authorities just sit back and let them figure it out, and then they go off of the leads that the internet people figured out. So that's, the internet's very powerful. That's why they try to stop videos like this. They try to silence our discussions, and, they like to, they don't like us to speak because they know we figure stuff out. And then I'll probably be on my Feed Your Mind 3 channel later. We're going to have to talk about that Elon Musk thing where he bought out Twitter. We're gonna cover that and see what you think about all that, and what that might mean. What is he up to? But yeah. So make sure you're subscribed over at Feed Your Mind 3 for much more videos and topics. Let me know your thoughts on this ISS thing. Like, what do you think about it? It's like, I don't know. It just, to me, it just shows me like this diagram is perfect. It really shows us that there's something to it. Like, even if you want to say there's a space vehicle up there, which is a whole nother discussion, but the path that it takes just shows us that there's something to the borders. There's like borders. There's borders up, like things. It's like, it's definitely suggests geocentric Earth. It's like, there is borders up there. Like, you can't go beyond a certain, like outside the circle, it appears. So with the planets and the so-called planets and so-called ISS doing these circles around the circle Earth, it's just like it reflects as above, so below. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section in the description box. Like I said, I'll leave the link so you can check out the demonstration. Also, I'll leave a link if you support this channel. You can donate as little as $1 to help keep things going here at Feed Your Mind. They try to silence my videos, but with listener support, we can keep going. Maybe even eventually get back to my documentary style videos. I'm gonna have some of those coming out anyways, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. Plus, I'll leave links to my other channels. Oh yeah, make sure you subscribe to my email newsletters. I'll leave a link for that. Yeah, we're gonna get that back cracking. So I'll leave that link plus my social media and much more. So thank you for tuning in. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This has been Feed Your Mind signing off.
Hello everybody, you are listening to Feed Your Mind. So today we will discuss the complex water distribution system of Earth, which includes lakes, streams, rivers, and oceans. The complexity of the water distribution of Earth is very intricate. So how convenient for the water to be distributed throughout most of the Earth. So in your local city, you might notice a lake somewhere nearby, and what is going on with that lake? Why is it there? Most scientists will try to say there was a meteor impact that caused that lake, or most scientists like to say there's some type of glacier movements that happened somewhere around 20,000 years ago, where these glaciers formed all of these lakes. But the thing is, why don't these lakes overflow when it rains, and they actually seem to remain pretty level throughout the year? And so we know for sure that a large amount of these lakes have some type of river system or a stream system that helps regulate the water levels. And so this water system that is set up is actually pretty complex. And you pretty much have to conclude that this lake system and stream system is too convenient for it to be by chance. From what I've observed, pretty much every single lake in the world is connected to one river system, which is connected to the ocean. And all bodies of water are connected to the world's bodies of water. So on this earth, there's really only one body of water. And so when you're at your local lake, you're looking at water that is flowing throughout the entire world. Now check out my video, Water is Not What You Were Told, for much more information about this, because when you go to your lake, you will see waves in the water even if there's no wind. So waves are not what we were told. And so I'll leave a link in the comment section in the description box so you can check out out the secrets about waves. There's some type of underground system of rivers and streams where water can be distributed as well, because not all lakes have streams and rivers running out of them. But according to my research, most of them do. Just look at how the water system and the lakes are connected with the river systems to distribute water throughout the earth. It's pretty complex. And so scientists are insisting that these lakes and river systems are randomly formed by glaciers and stuff. But the way these waters flow throughout the earth just has to be an intelligent design. So we already know that water does not curve. And with the earth being about 70% water, we must conclude that the earth is flat because water is always level. It can never be demonstrated to curve when laying in a large body of water. The argument about water droplets is null and void because that's when water is falling. When water is laying flat in a large body, it does not curve around an object. It doesn't matter if I put a ball in the bottom of a pool, you won't see any indication of the surface of the water curving over that ball. And it's one of the biggest proofs of a flat earth. And now when you add in the complex water system that lakes and rivers reveal to us, we must conclude that these rivers and lake systems are by intelligent design in order to distribute water throughout various parts of the earth. I also remember reading in the book of Genesis that river systems were created to help distribute water. I believe it was the Euphrates and some other rivers that were created to carry water throughout the earth. Oh, and there's another thing I want to mention before I get out of here. It's simply look at the river maps and how water is distributed against dry land on Earth, and you'll clearly see how the river system is set up kind of like the vein system of the human body. And the veins have capillaries and all types of veins that distribute blood across the human body. And so if you notice, you see the main arteries on both the human body nervous system and also the river system of the earth. And off of those main arteries is the main flow of water through the systems of the earth, similar to how the main arteries distribute blood across the human body. And then you have the smaller capillaries that stem off of the main arteries of the human body that distribute blood to various places. Just the same, you have these little capillaries of streams coming off of the main river systems. And those systems are connected to the oceans and the seas of the world. And so when you look at the river system, it's kind of set up the same way. And so is water kind of like Earth's blood? I mean, the river systems are set up pretty much like the veins of a human body. And it's clear to see. So it definitely appears intentional how the river systems are set up. And so if we take the Mississippi River, for example, we can see that the Mississippi River runs through the entire North America continent, and it fuels all the lakes, as every river appears to be connected to this one river, which is kind of like the main artery. And so an interesting thing to mention is that on a curved earth, that would mean at certain points of this Mississippi River, water would have to travel uphill before reaching the southern part of the continent to flow out through the Gulf of Mexico. Because the river is actually 2,320 miles. Now, if you look at the globe curvature map, there's an 8-inch drop for every mile squared, and that comes out to around 700 to 1,000 miles of curvature drop. So that comes up to like a giant hill on the earth. You can't have a hill just go down. A hill has to go up and then down. It's not a one-way street when it comes to a curve. So at some point within that 2,320 miles of Mississippi River, the globe Earth would have to curve upwards at a certain time before it starts going down. And I want to know, how is it possible for water to run uphill within that curvature formula? And if you look at the map of America, you can easily see how the water flows and works its way throughout all the dry lands of America just to distribute water. And so this whole water distribution system and how it appears, and you can see clearly how it delivers water from the oceans onto the land area. It's pretty clear that this is intelligent design. And so on a globe Earth, that water would have to be traveling uphill at certain areas, which is scientifically impossible. And so that's just yet more confirmation that water remains level and flat. Check out my Water Is Not What You Were Told playlist for much more information. I'll leave the link in the comment section and in the description box. Simply enter your email address at feedyourmind1.com. That way I can send you some cool news briefs throughout the week. It's completely free. Please chip in $1 at my Patreon page to help keep this channel running so I can put out more videos for you. I have some exclusives for you over there as well. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This has been another episode of Feed Your Mind. Thank you for tuning in. Signing off. Hello everybody, you are listening to Feed Your Mind. So a few weeks ago I released a video about lava and tectonic plates. And so after I released that video, there was a lot of activity with lava and volcanoes. And so I went back and did some more research and discovered that there is much more to talk about. And so let's dig deeper into this discussion about lava and volcanoes. Now, we covered in the last video how is it possible that lava is related to the lake of fire? And so I put out a poll and over 450 of you have voted, and 28% of you agree that lava is probably related to the lake of fire. 45% of you had said that lava could be some type of combination of both a heating system and the lake of fire. With the 45% and then the 28% of you, that really brings it to about 70% of you that are willing to consider lava being connected to the lake of fire. And so let's begin our research. And so as I dug deeper into this lava and volcano research, I came across some interesting research that suggests there's a lot of spiritual activity around these volcano sites. And there's a lot of deep history with some of these volcano sites as well. Some of these volcano sites are even considered to be haunted. So let's dig into this subject and see what we discover. And so if magma is said to be molten rocks, when the magma shoots out of the earth and it becomes lava, it cools off and turns back into rock. The specific type of rock that lava turns into is called an igneous rock, and this rock is usually rich in iron and aluminum. But the thing is, there might be a connection between an igneous rock and the other three main types of rocks. So far, it seems pretty reasonable that lava and rocks could be definitely connected. The thing is, we're going to have to dig deeper into what rocks are, though, to really get a full understanding about this hypothesis. And so let's move on to volcanoes. The first documented volcano is Mount Vesuvius in Italy. This volcano was documented in 79 AD around the area of the Gulf of Naples. And this was a Roman city. So what happened was the researchers had found a city buried in ash. And they even found the residents buried and petrified as stone. And the whole city was preserved after they were able to excavate the city. And so you can even visit the area and see the actual bodies that were found preserved in ash. And it's a very interesting piece of history to examine. But the thing is, although they say this is the first documented volcano to be discovered, other reports put another volcano found in Italy as the oldest volcano. And this volcano is much older. This volcano, they're dating back to as far back as 1500 BC. And so I guess the reports of this volcano are not considered to be authentic. And so I examined some of the reports and it seemed kind of mythical, some of the reports. There was talks about Cyclops and other giants. And then I did some more digging and there was reports that people considered the volcanic eruptions and earthquakes to be connected to giants beneath the earth. They believed it was the breath of a giant being or something beneath the earth. And so that's probably why this volcano can't be documented as the oldest volcano. It doesn't sound like there's a credible report on this volcano, whereas the Mount Vesuvius volcano that buried the city of Rome apparently has reports about that volcano incident that has been apparently verified. So that's pretty interesting if the oldest volcano report is actually 79 AD and that 1500 BC volcano is pretty sketchy. And so that seems to suggest that the only real credible evidence of volcanic activity is actually 79 AD. Because the 1500 BC volcano doesn't really seem to hold up to scrutiny. Is it possible that volcanic activity just started occurring around 79 AD? Because I definitely don't believe that the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. And I'm also not convinced that the Earth is even 350,000 years old, as they suggest is the age of that Mount Etna volcano. So I can pretty much scratch those off as being legitimate. So the most credible story of a volcano is actually 79 AD. And so there really doesn't seem to be any evidence of any volcanic activity before 79 AD, which is pretty interesting. And so in my previous video, lava and tectonic plates are not what we were told, we discussed lava being connected to the lake of fire. And we can begin our research with Mount Hekla. Now, this volcano is in Iceland, and if you notice that the name Mount Hekla, well, Hek is a replacement word for the word hell. So this might not be a coincidence because there has been reports of strange noises from this volcano. The locals had tales that this volcano was possibly a gateway or a portal to a demonic realm. And so there was questions about whether the lake of fire could actually be a literal lake of fire or if it is some type of figurative explanation for something else. But lava really does describe what we would consider a lake of fire. That describes lava perfectly. So there could be some type of cross-dimensional thing going on where lava is possibly some type of interdimensional fluid, possibly. I mean, we got to start wondering what is actually making lava this flaming hot liquid. What's down beneath the earth that this liquid is heated up to the point where it devours everything in its path, as we are seeing in Hawaii. And so lava doesn't always just come out of volcanoes, it also can come out of the ground. And so in Nicaragua, there's a chasm that spews out toxic smoke. They call this lava pit the Messiah. Explorers have said that you can feel the heat once you get close to this place. The natives actually sacrificed men, women, and children here, and they were convinced it was a spiritual portal. Even to this day, there is a crucifix that was put there by a Catholic priest that examined the place. They were investigating all of the history with this location and the sacrifices, and they determined this place to be some type of damned place. So they ended up putting up this cross that you can visit to this day and see for yourself. So that's pretty strange indeed. And so I've discovered many reports that there is an actual gateway entrance that separates this earth area from what's beneath the earth. You see, as we discussed in the Core of the Earth video, I proved that nobody knows what's beyond 8 miles underneath the earth. There was even attempts to go beyond 8 miles underneath the earth, and it was determined to be impossible, and they even reported reaching a hard barrier that the drills cannot penetrate. And so perhaps the magma is actually coming from an area beneath the 8-mile mark. Maybe it's shooting up from the area that we can't get to, because when the borehole scientists were drilling down there, they said the heat got unbearable and the drill bits even began to melt. And so that makes it pretty clear that this is where the heat is coming from, is somewhere around the 8-mile mark beneath the earth. And so magma could be shooting up from the underworld, and these volcanoes could indeed be a gateway between worlds. There's even a scripture that suggests the same thing, because in Luke 16:26, it says there's a great chasm that separates each side, where neither side is allowed to go to and from. And so if there is a literal underworld that we are not allowed to reach, it seems pretty intentional how this earth is set up to where if you're trying to get to the edge of the earth, it starts to get super cold, making it impossible to really travel once you get to the outer ring of the earth, which they call the Antarctic. And this area is bitter cold and unbearable, making travel and exploration nearly impossible, as if it's some type of security system to keep people from poking their heads around and trying to discover something. Well, underneath the earth, there seems to be the same thing where you can't penetrate beneath this 8-mile mark underneath the earth. But instead of getting super cold, it gets super hot. And so these reports are beginning to make this audio that we discovered in my Core of the Earth video more interesting, where they started hearing strange sounds underneath the earth. Some people are saying that those sounds are a hoax. There's others that are convinced that this is authentic audio. I personally wouldn't think that you could hear their voices, but then after further analyzation, it is possible for demons to enter into sound waves. There's like ghost recorders and stuff like that these demons can interact with, so it could be some type of sounds from the demonic realm or something, trying to communicate with the land of the living. And so the Mayans and the Egyptians have something very similar in common, and that is their belief that you can actually cross into this underworld. And so the Mayans have documented a map that shows several chambers underneath the earth. And that's interesting because Scientists consider these chambers to be things like petroleum chambers and magma chambers and stuff like that. So these Mayans consider these chambers to be passageways. And they actually detailed a map from a Mayan cave. They call this place Xibalba, and they documented these chambers beneath the earth as being interconnected pathways to the underworld. And so for the magma chamber, they would call that the House of Fire. They had several other chambers like the House of Bats. They had a chamber that was full of sharp rocks. They had like a scorpion chamber. And so they believed that these chambers were some type of security system to keep the living from making it to the underworld, where these Mayans believed it was like a puzzle or something, where each chamber was being guarded by a demon or something that you could sacrifice to. And so it sounds like these Mayans were trying to make deals with each guardian of each chamber in order to make their way to the underworld. They would sacrifice some of their people to these chambers, and you can even go down there and find skeletal remains. And these skeletons prove that there was some ritualistic things going on down in these cave systems. And so, like I said, the Egyptians had a similar belief system where they believed that there was cave systems. Some even suggest under the pyramids, but the Egyptians had hieroglyphics that map out a very similar belief system where there was a pathway to the underworld, and there was all types of demons like Anubis and others who guarded each chamber. And to get past these spirits in their chamber, there was specific chants and spells and sacrifices that they had to partake in, and then they believe they can get past to the next chamber and work their way to the underworld. Now, I couldn't imagine why anybody would want to go to the underworld. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but what I can really take from this research is that there seems to be some type of ritualistic activities going on with these volcanic areas in these underground cave systems. So when I combine this information with the reports of some of these volcanic areas being haunted and there being strange sounds being heard in some of these areas, and others saying that these volcano areas are portals to the underworld, maybe these volcanic areas are places where the elite make some of their deals with the spirits in order to gain whatever type of deal they negotiate, usually riches or rulership or whatever it is that these Illuminati elite try to negotiate with these demons. And so I could see where we know they're finding skeletons in these areas, and we know that there's evidence of a belief that these underground volcanic areas and cave systems lead to the underworld. So this is probably where these pagan demon worshippers go to interact with demons from the underworld and make their deals. So even Jesus was said to experience this underworld. They said after he died, he went down to Sheol for 3 days. This place Sheol is also called Hades. And so the thing is, after Jesus got killed and ended up in Hades, he was not supposed to be there. And so as we discussed in my previous video, Sheol is not to be confused with hell, but it is said to be a common grave where the dead go, both the good and the bad, until the day of judgment. And so when Jesus ended up down there, he was not supposed to be there. That place was not intended for a man that never sinned. So what happened was Jesus was able to conquer death, and through him, the curse of death can be bypassed, because death and Sheol was created for sinners only. And so when Jesus was down there, that fulfilled the prophecy of salvation for all whom accept the ritual that took place, where Jesus died as a sinless man and ended up in a place that was not able to receive him. And so Ephesians 4:9-10 is speaking about how Jesus first descended to the lower parts of the earth before he ascended. And so we also should recap that Satan does not run Sheol. He is not in charge down there. The place was made for Satan and his demons. And so after the day of judgment, whoever is not found in the book of life will be thrown into the lake of fire. So it is my understanding that the hell that the Catholics teach is not accurate, because they describe Satan and his demons running hell. And they're saying that people are going down there getting tortured and tormented. So there's many Christians that say that that's not what happens when you go down there. It's just a holding cell until it's determined if you will go on to the new kingdom that is being prepared, or if you will go to the lake of fire. But the connection I kind of found interesting was the fact that they beat Jesus. They beat him and tormented him. And so that kind of had me wondering, like, is he taking that beating and torment in place of us? Even though many Christians say there is no beating and tormenting going on in Sheol, I'm kind of now wondering if there might be something to it, because they sure beat Jesus down real bad. And so they said he took all those beatings for the sinners so that we don't have to go through that. And so I was wondering if that could be some type of connection. So maybe there is some type of torment and beating and punishment going on under the earth.
Maybe he was trying to save us from the torture so that all who accept Jesus' sacrifice for us, we can bypass the areas where people have to pay the price for their sins. Maybe there's some type of divine justice going on under there.
And so this leads us to question about this Dante's Inferno poem. Now, this is not a biblical writing, but nonetheless, it's a pretty interesting take on what's going on underneath the earth, because the writing suggests that there are several layers of Sheol that house different types of sinners, from general sinners who may have been gluttonous or sexually immoral. Those types of sinners would kind of be on the upper levels of Sheol, where they would experience an unpleasant existence, but it wouldn't be as horrible as the stuff beneath them, where the several layers underneath these guys would be where the violent ones were, the murderers. And so the writings are suggesting that depending on the degree of sin and what types of sins you were doing while on earth, you will pay for those sins on a level equal to what damage you were causing up on earth. So the murderers would be in chambers where they would be getting eaten by vicious beings and tortured and tormented viciously, more in line to how Jesus was tormented and tortured. And the ones on the top levels would have tortures more like their existence being in a puddle of water with snakes or stuff like that, maybe a bunch of worms. There's one chamber that described as being in constant wind. And so for the not so bad sinners, they would be experiencing a bit lighter punishments. And so there's other writings that suggest that there's a chamber for those who are pretty much going to be saved as well. And this is like the Abrahamic chambers, or the chambers where the good ones would go. And it sounds pretty similar to this place that Catholics described as purgatory. I'm not sure if you can make it to this chamber if you're just a good person or not, but apparently this chamber is intended to purify and prepare the soul for paradise. So it sounds like this purgatory place, or this Abrahamic chamber, or whatever you want to call it, is an area where people that die go that are not going to be subjected to any punishment while they're dead. They're just going to be prepared and cleansed in order to be worthy to enter the kingdom of the Creator.
Once again, I'm not saying that this is how it is underneath the earth for sure. I'm just reporting on these findings because it was pretty interesting.
So let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section. And so one thing that we can take away from all of this is that it does seem like this Sheol is actually a literal place for your spirit. Regardless of what's going on down there, we know that this is an actual literal place. Lava seems to be somehow connected to all of this. Lava could be a warning sign for us on earth to know that there is a lake of fire. It could be some type of reminder or something in order to remind us that our decisions that we make on this earth do matter. And so that would mean that life is some type of test, and we must remain in the book of life. It's probably best to keep on researching and trying to figure out if you're going to accept Jesus as the Messiah or not. I know a lot of you might say his name is actually Yahushua, and I personally call him that, but I refer to him as Jesus on this channel mostly so that I don't confuse the beginners who are just now learning about this stuff. And plus, the name Jesus is actually considered to be the English translation for Yahushua. So it's my understanding that it's simply the English version of the name Yahushua. And so I consider the name Yahushua to be for more advanced believers who have studied and understand the Hebrew pronunciation of his name. The name Jesus actually means Yahuwah saves. So, but like I said, we're going to just call him Jesus on this channel just to make it easier for all of the new listeners. If I'm going around saying Yahushua, they might not quite understand who I'm talking about. So I'm going to mostly stick to saying Jesus on this channel. But in my personal life, I usually do call him Yahushua. And so they say through Jesus is the way to avoid being sentenced to the lake of fire by accepting Jesus as your savior. Sounds like a good option to avoid the wrath of God. Jesus completed a ritual for your salvation, so it's up to you to accept that sacrifice that he made for us. He took the beating for you, so all you have to do now is accept Jesus into your life, and hopefully you will be spared from the wrath of God. Because eventually everybody ends up making it to Sheol, because the cycle of life and death is pretty clear. There's nobody on this earth that has been walking around for much more than a bit over 100 years. But eventually they're saying this life experiment will reach its end and be concluded. And so if you end up in Sheol and all of this was true, then at least you accepted Jesus and you have a good chance of being spared the sentence of being thrown into the lake of fire. It's a win-win situation. So what do you think? Are these volcano areas portals to the gates of hell? Do you think some of these volcanic areas are actually haunted? Let me know what you decide in the comment section. For much more information, check out my playlist, Beneath the Earth is Not What You Were Told. I'll leave a link in the comment section and the description box. Simply enter your email address at feedyourmind1.com. That way I can send you some cool news briefs throughout the week. It's completely free. Chip in $1 at my Patreon page to help keep this channel running. You get to watch videos before they come out, and we have a bunch of other cool stuff over there, like the Flat Earth Challenge. Complete details at patreon.com/feedyourmind. Please click your notification bell. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. This has been another episode of Feed Your Mind. Thank you for tuning in. Signing off.
This is Feed Your Mind, and so I just came across some very interesting video footage. This video footage allegedly is coming from the WikiLeaks. And so this footage is about 12 minutes of all the footage you're going to have to see about the moon situation. Now I'm saying the moon situation because you can't really put certain words together on these platforms anymore without it like catching it. So we're going to just dance around some words and stuff here, but basically this footage is all you need to see. I mean, check the footage out and share it with your friends and family. First of all, well, the first thing I think everyone should do though is check out the footage for yourself. And then we should probably brainstorm about this footage here in the comment section on this channel, on this video. So go check out the video and then come back and leave some comments and let's brainstorm and figure out if this is authentic footage or not. Let's try to verify this. So I might have actually verified this footage in my video I put out about a month ago with the interview with, I had a video where I left a link for you all. It was an interview with this guy that was said to have been, well, no, this guy said he had interviewed one of the guys from this footage that I'm sharing with you right now. See, this moon situation footage was filmed in the Nevada desert, and so in the interview, he had gotten a deathbed confession from one of the guys that was filming on the set in Nevada. And so it was about an hour-long interview, and he broke it all down. There's a list of real names. There's real people. A few of them are still alive. He has the location. Everything that you need to know was laid out in this interview. It was a very important interview. So I'll also leave a link for that. That's in my moon playlist link. The first link will be this video footage from the Nevada desert that I'm going to share with you today. This footage from the Nevada desert is said to be the leaked footage I believe this guy was referring to, where he said he had tons of information and evidence, undeniable evidence about this moon filming. And so basically the guy was saying it's verified, and so you'll probably want to check out his interview too. But yeah, the most important thing is to check out this footage and let me know what you think, because I mean, the footage looks authentic. The guy from the interview said there was some footage out there that's not authentic. He said there's some, I think he said the one with the lights falling down on the set or something. You know, I think a lot of you had seen that one. It was like grainy 60s footage, black and white, but they showed the moon trips and then the light, this stage lights were falling down and stuff. He's saying some of the, like he's claiming like that one and a few others are not authentic. It was, I don't know. He said he claims to know that some of that footage was put out there by, I don't know who, probably disinfo. I mean, the agents that was trying to quiet the talk about the whole thing. You know, it's probably the people that are actually, they probably released it themselves just to make, you know, get people to stop talking about it. But the guy said there was actual authentic footage out there, and this could possibly be it. Now, it's supposed, like I said, it's allegedly coming from WikiLeaks, but that's what we really need to verify. Because if this footage is literally coming from WikiLeaks, I believe that adds some credibility, a lot of credibility to the footage. And so, like I said, it's about a 12-minute video full of all types of footage. They show everything from, well, first of all, the footage looks grainy and 60s type stuff. You know, it's like, you can tell they were using the cameras like that would allow them to get away with a lot of flaws and stuff that people might pick up on. And then, so they're showing like a lot of floating, like the moon lander looked like it was on strings floating. I don't know if it was like a miniature model or if it was some type of whatever. You can't really tell exactly if it was full scale or not, but it was like they used like very crude technology to make it appear like it was hovering and about to land and stuff. And then they even showed like 60s footage of people floating. So it was probably one of those parabolic maneuvers in the airplanes. They probably did that, or whatever technology they were using. But they were showing how the astronauts were able to float, and they showed it was a lot of lights, camera action. I mean, there's a lot of directors continuing to say action and cut and all types of stuff like that. This is like the editing room like footage that with all the scenes that they removed to make it appear to be authentic. So this is some very, very incredible footage. I mean, if we can verify this is it, guys. This is the video you're going to want to share. So once we start verifying if this footage is authentic or not, or if at least verify if it really did come from WikiLeaks, it's time to start sharing that video. So like I said, the link will be in the comment section and the description box. So they also showed like the underwater footage, you know, like that's a lot of the technology they still do to this day. And so, but this stuff looked like it was definitely from the 60s, and like the cameras, it would have kind of took a lot to recreate the footage, because it was like, you could tell they were using all ancient technology and stuff like in that footage. It definitely looked dated. They showed like, you know, the helicopters hovering over the Nevada desert, filming the surface of the Nevada desert, and then they show you how that's actually was a lot of that footage was used to show like the moon, as if it was the moon. And then it showed their editing tools to make it look like the dark sky was behind them, and no stars, of course. It looked like they had limited, like, I know Pro Tools. What is it? The video editing software. I know that stuff wasn't really very much out a lot at that time, but they showed they had some type of technology. They had editing software, and they're always ahead of the game. So it was definitely looked like they had used computers, and they were able to manipulate images and add astronauts to a scene and take them out. And they showed the flag scene, and it was very, very incredible footage. I definitely recommend you check out. I mean, when you look at that lander, it just looks like a science fiction movie. I mean, it definitely looks like some type of miniature scale model or something you would see in a Outer Limits or Twilight Zone episode or something. It's like if the moon is really 250,000 miles away, 250,000 miles away, that lander would have, it's like, how would have that thing ever been able to travel through space and break out of the moon's, atmosphere, whatever atmosphere they say the moon has or whatever. But, like the flame, it's like you can't really have flames in deep space. It's not really deep space, though. I mean, even the scientists now are changing the story. They're saying the moon is within the Earth's atmosphere now. They're finally admitting that, I guess, because of the problems with that, where, like, how would have that flame, that weak flame, been able to just thrust all the way back to Earth on that, what is it, the LAM? Is that what they call it? The lunar something model, or modular or something. But yeah, that thing didn't look like it would be able to travel through space at all. Like, not even whatever they're calling space, the upper atmosphere or whatever, just, there's no way that flame would have been put out like a candle. Like, it would have not have been able to thrust. You could just tell just how it looked. So, I mean, that whole thing really, after seeing this video, you could really tell how ridiculous the moon footage actually is. And anyone defending it still after watching that footage, I mean, look, like I said, we do have to verify it first, but even if we can, I mean, it's still something. Even if we can't verify it, it's still something. It really raises eyebrows, and it's something to check out, and it'll really make you look at the moon situation different after seeing this footage, regardless of if this is authentic footage or not, because it just really shows you how poorly done, that whole thing was. So it's like the Russians were trying to beat the US to the moon, and then they're like, no, we're not gonna race you, we're gonna just film it in the Nevada desert. There, we beat you now. It's like cheating. It's like lying cheaters, So they're putting the wool over the, the eyes of people, and people just fall for it. This has been science, guys. This has been science, and politics too, I guess. I mean, they do not want us to know where we live. Like, they're totally against that. We're going to have to get into more discussions as to why they really don't want us to know about this stuff. I mean, they want humanity to not understand this realm. They want us to think it's a big accident, heliocentric model, and they're refusing to allow us to understand the true nature of this earth. They went all out to make sure we didn't figure out, this place. So yeah, check out the video footage. Let me know what you think. If you support this channel, I'll leave a link so you can donate. I'm accepting $1 donations. It's helping keep things going here at Feed Your Mind. It's just like leaving your waiter a tip. because they try to silence my videos, but I'm going to keep going as long as we got enough listener support. So thank you for tuning in. I'll also leave links to my other channel. I'm going to be over at Feed Your Mind 3, dropping information about all types of topics that I don't cover on this channel. So go over there and subscribe if you haven't yet. Also, make sure you're subscribed here. Please like and share and comment. And thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you all next time. This is Feed Your Mind, and so life is not what you were told. And the reason why I'm saying that is because no matter what denomination you are in, whether you are atheist, agnostic, or if you believe in God, or no matter what religion you're in, it all comes down to one basic thing, is that we are not alone here on this earth. If you're a creationist, you believe there's a God and a hierarchy of angels. And if you're a non-believer, if you're an atheist or agnostic, well, most atheists and agnostics believe in the possibility of other life and possibly alien life that has been observing us. And the Christians will say these very aliens are actually proof of the Bible, because the Christians are saying that the aliens are actually the fallen ones who got kicked out of heaven. So most people would believe that there's some type of, well, that there's a possibility that we are being watched and observed. So therefore, life is not what we are told, because that, once you start thinking about that, it's pretty clear that we are living in a Truman Show or a Matrix type reality. And so what is the meaning of life? Well, is it possible that all life on earth is being observed at one time? Well, that would bring into question whether or not we are entertainment for the spiritual realm. Because if they're observing us, you know, the next question is, you know, is it entertainment, or are they studying us, or are they testing us? If they're testing us, then that brings into question, is this some type of, well, is Earth some type of school or a learning program? And if it's a learning program, that puts it back into the Matrix or Truman Show type reality. Some might call it a simulated reality, or it could be a little bit of everything. But we can actually verify some of this stuff. Well, we can't actually verify it, but we can hear testimony of people that have had NDEs, near-death experiences, and they have came back and said that there was a life review. So that, and then with the Christian belief system, you know, there's talks of people being judged after we leave Earth. And so if there is a life review, that would bring into question whether or not everything we're doing on this earth is being recorded. So I've looked up and I've saw the stars before, and I know the stars are there even in the daytime, but we just can't see them in the daytime. So I've questioned if the stars are actually cameras, or maybe angelic beings recording us. But then you can actually go deeper and question if all eyes are recording us, all eyes and ears of the people around us, including your own eyes and ears. Because in this life review testimony, they clearly say it's like, people have said it's some type of place that you go to after you're done in the spiritual, well, in the physical realm, and you end up, your consciousness ends up in another place. And in this other place, they actually have said that there's, you know, like I said, a hierarchy of organization in the spiritual realm, and that's what archangels are. And then above archangels will be God, the creator. So if that suggests an organized structure in the spiritual realm. And so these people from the experiences, well, the NDEs have said that they went into it was almost, some people have even said like a courtroom type environment with beings that, well, some have said it was a tribunal of beings that were judging the life that person had lived on earth. And or you might want to question if there's just one being, which would be the creator, judging us. But I guess we won't know that until the end. But basically they're saying life is an agreement to enter this place, and we live our life, but we're not exactly, well, in the physical world, we don't remember anything before we got here. So the Bible says that God knew us in the womb before we were created. Like he knew us before we were created. So the journey from child to adult would have already been kind of known to God. So you wouldn't necessarily be, he wouldn't have just known the baby you. It sounds like he would have known the adult you, the thinking, the intelligent you. So whatever the case, we're here, we're all here now, we're all multiplying, and there's new souls being born, and it appears that we are here to live our life and live normally as possible. And that's where the whole thing with the flat earth comes into question, because, well, gets involved in this discussion, because with the flat earth information, people start to awaken to what we actually are, and it goes from just living your life normally and going to work every day and, coming home and, living a normal life, to being aware that you are in a actual constructed place for you, and you begin to understand that there's evidence that this place was definitely created and we are put here. So you start looking at things different, and you might not behave as normal as possible anymore, because you're aware now, and you're becoming aware of that there's more to this place than what it seems. And so you become enlightened. But as far as living normally, the Bible actually left us instructions, and some people have said the Bible is an acronym for basic instructions before leaving earth. So in this Bible, we are given, well, at the very least you can take away from it is there's basic instructions in there of how to treat others, and you don't want to interfere with others' free will. And so you don't want to really affect others like that. And as far as the beings observing us, it seems like they're not really supposed to interfere with us. So it's supposed to be just like a watcher, almost. If you saw the Marvel What If series, they had a series where there was a watcher. He's just watching the world. He's actually watching all realities of the world, and that's just what they do. They watch, and they're not really supposed to intervene with civilization. So the spiritual world really isn't supposed to intervene with the affairs of humanity, and that's actually one of the things that the atheists have a problem with, because they say, like, how could God allow so much things to happen on this earth? But it's really supposed to be, there's supposed to be limited intervention. You can request intervention through prayer, and some people on the dark side of if they practice the sorcery and stuff like that, they might request assistance from the spiritual realm and on the dark side of the things. And then the Christians can request divine intervention from God and his angels. So but from what I understand, there's supposed to be very limited intervention. Even the Bible said that in Revelations it tells us that there's going to be a time. Well, he's trying to see if mankind can rule themselves, but it might get to a time when, well, thanks to the fallen one, he wants to destroy God's creation, so he influences man to destroy themselves, and it might get to a point where God will have to intervene in order to preserve humanity, just like he had to do. Well, he also preserved humanity, they say, in the Great Flood, where everyone was destroyed except for Noah's family. So if there is a spiritual world that is watching us, or if you think it's just God himself that's watching us, well, that's a question you're gonna have to ask yourself. We might dig into that deeper in another video, but if it's just God watching everybody, then and they say God is all-knowing, so would that suggest that God is a part of creation and learning himself, through us? And or, like I said, there could be a hierarchy of angels, which I believe more of that line of thinking, where there's a whole spiritual world out here amongst us, almost like the Invisible Man, where they can just be right here in our face and you wouldn't even know it, and hopefully, from what I understand, they're not really allowed, they're definitely not allowed to just mess with you, but I don't know, people have had situations, and I think the people that have had situations where they deal with the spiritual world messing with them, I think they might have invited that into their lives. So, and for the people that believe in aliens, I guess, like I said, they still can't get away from there possibly being a group of beings that are observing humanity. And so there's more evidence in the Bible that tells us that there's other beings that are coming down here to earth and watching us and going back to heaven, because in Jacob's dream, he had a dream about a ladder, but he's not sure if it was a dream or a vision, so it's not real clear if this was a vision, possibly not just a dream, and he was observing angels coming to and from heaven. So our life, well, it's showing us more and more proof that our life is being observed and watched. And so they actually call the world, well, you hear this phrase, the world stage. So that would be kind of like what this place is a world stage, Earth, a place that we call Earth, where we live our lives, and we're here for a certain amount of time. It's not forever. The end is always near, because our lifespan at the moment is around 80 to 120 years. So somewhere around that time, people expire, and based on how you lived your life, most people would say that there's a place after this, after you leave here, where you're gonna be held to account for how you lived your life. And you're gonna have to go through a review, and they're gonna have everything that you ever said and everything that you've ever done. So that seems to be a pretty basic and common understanding about life after and what happens after. And the sentencing part, as far as, do you get punished for anything about what you did here? If they're going to review your life, especially if it's in a court-like environment, that means that, well, what would the sentencing be if, after they review your life? Is there going to be a sentence? Or what happens after you review your life? Like, so that's a whole nother discussion. You might want to have that discussion in the comment section. I would like to know your thoughts on this discussion that we've had. Is life are we in some type of school, or do you think we're being observed? just your thoughts in general about everything we discussed. We covered a lot of information in this video, so I'm gonna leave it there for now. So thank you for tuning in. Make sure you sign up to my free email newsletters. I'll leave the link in the comment section in the description box. Also, if you support this channel, please donate $1. I'm accepting $1 donations. It's just like leaving your waiter a tip. It helps keep things going over here at Feed Your Mind so I can stay online. Also, I'll leave a link to my social media, plus much more. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This has been Feed Your Mind, signing off.
How's it going out there? This is Feed Your Mind. And so people have been reporting on strange solar flare activity. And so what they do is they watch this alleged real-time footage of the sun. And there's people that will analyze the solar flares. And there's all of these theories about these solar blasts and what's going on with the sun. And so this footage that people are analyzing comes courtesy of the Solar Dynamics Observatory, which is called SDO for short. And this company provides the official live feed footage of the sun. And so many people have wondered, like, how do they even get that footage? Well, this device is not orbiting the sun, but it's actually said to be orbiting the Earth in a geosynchronous orbit, about 22,000 miles above the surface of the Earth. And this SDO satellite is said to contain 3 data collecting instruments. One is an extreme ultraviolet variability experiment. Another instrument is the helioseismic and magnetic imager. And the third instrument is the atmospheric imaging assembly. And so the helioseismic and magnetic imager is said to take measurements of the magnetic field of the sun. And it also studies the corona and estimates internal dynamics of the sun. And so the second instrument, which is the extreme ultraviolet variability experiment, this instrument measures the relationship between the extreme ultraviolet variations and the magnetic variations. And so what they discovered with this second instrument is that the UV blast of the sun interacts with the ionosphere, or what you could consider the dome firmament. And so these solar flares are said to actually interfere with satellite communications. And they're also saying this UV interaction also can heat up the atmosphere with solar radiation. And so when you apply this information to the dome firmament, it's pretty much the same thing. And so lastly, the third instrument, which is the atmospheric imagery assembly. Well, this device views the sun continuously in 7 different extreme UV channels. And it is also said to measure the temperature of the sun. And so basically all of this information is collected by this SDO satellite and beamed back to NASA.
The Solar Dynamics Observatory is NASA's latest view of our closest star, the sun. SDO, as it's known as, is going to be launched in February 2010 and really revolutionise our understanding of our Sun-Earth connection, with images that are 10 times better than what we have on HD television, with every image being taken every 10 seconds and continuously streaming down towards the Earth. This tidal wave of data will be coming here to the University of Central Lancashire, where scientists will try to understand what these observations actually mean, and in particular what the sun's outer atmosphere is all about.
And so what they do is they collect this data from these 3 instruments and compile it into a computer program, where this computer program renders a CGI image. And so then NASA pretty much colors in the sun a nice bright orange and create some cool animation to make it look like a ball of fire. And they also add these neat little solar flare emissions from the sun and match it up according to the data that they have collected for the day. So the SDO is said to collect this data every 10 minutes. And so every 10 minutes this data is collected and a new image is rendered.
Do a riff for a minute, because so many people accuse me of lying to them. They tell me I'm using false colors. Okay, I'm not. Okay, the colors that you see on any image from the Solar Dynamics Observatory, they're not false colors, they're just lies. Okay, in general, you can't see the light that we're trying to show you. If you want, we can show you, we have 36 million images from our spacecraft right now. I can show them all to you in black and white. Would you like that? Or would you rather see that cool orange that I showed you before?
So for all of you out there who thought you were analyzing and observing actual live footage of the sun, this whole time you're actually analyzing a cartoon image. And so that also makes me wonder if these solar flares are even what they are telling us they are. And so when you compile a day's worth of imagery together, this computer program will create a movie for the observer to see all of the sun activity that was going on throughout the day.
Okay, and the other thing you're going to see is that we have gotten into the practice of never showing you an image. You're going to see a couple images now because it just didn't work the way I wanted to do this. But you're going to see a lot of really funky stop action movies because we have so many images, we just put them together and make movies out of everything. I mean, that's the cool thing about SDO is that in general, we have we can look at what happened and what happened before and what happened afterwards, and we're going to show it to you because that's what we're doing now. Okay, that's the sun you're used to looking at, right? Now, I told you every one of these colors is a lie. That should be blue. Okay, but most people would not like that to be blue. They want it to be yellow, so it's been made yellow. 6 million Kelvin, 10 million Kelvin. Oh, what's that? Who ordered that? That is what we really want to measure. That's the magnetic field of the sun. If it's white, it's magnetic field that's pointing towards you. If it's black, it's magnetic field pointing away from you. Okay, here's the sun today. I made these this morning. I downloaded several hundred images from SDO. I put them into some software and I made myself a movie. You can do that too. I didn't get any special data. This is data available at our website. And you got to do some programming. You have to get some work into it.
And so I have just proven that live feed sun footage is a CGI cartoon presented by NASA. And so for the people out there examining solar flare activity, now that you know that you're examining cartoon footage, we must begin to question if solar flares are actually real or if they're just simply animation. So it's very possible that there really are solar flares, but it's also possible that maybe there's not. And so this SDO device is said to be a satellite. But when you start to research into satellites, there's some very interesting information that I've come across. So you can check that out on my Proof Satellites Are Not What You Were Told playlist for much more information. But you really don't have to rule out that the instruments that they say are collecting this data from the sun exist. I mean, the instruments could possibly exist and they could be somewhere here on Earth, or they could be somewhere at a high altitude looking at the sun and collecting data. But I definitely don't think this thing is flying 22,000 miles in the air in a geosynchronous orbit, that's for sure. And speaking of geosynchronous and geostationary satellites, that's something we'll probably have to look into a little deeper in another video, so make sure you click your notification bell so you don't miss it. And one last thing I would like to add is that now that we know that the live feed sun footage is animation, and we put that with my previous video, The Earth Is Not What You Were Told, where I proved that all pictures and footage of the Earth is all CGI imagery as well, you must begin to question all of the pictures that you are seeing that are being presented to you by NASA. I will prove to you in another video that pretty much all images that you see from NASA are CGI images. So really, what does that tell you about outer space and the heliocentric solar system? This video should be the red pill for you to wake up from how you just believe all these pictures and images that you're seeing from NASA without even questioning them. Now is the time for you to start waking up and understanding that something is going on here for sure. So check out my heliocentric deception playlist for much more information. I'll leave the link in the comment section in the description box. Simply enter your email address at feedyourmind1.com. That way I can send you some cool news briefs throughout the week. It's completely free. Please chip in $1 to $5 to help keep Feed Your Mind on YouTube by joining my VIP room. I'll leave a link in the comment section in the description box. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click your notification bell. Include the title of your favorite video and you're automatically entered into a chance to win a free gift from my Feed Your Mind pop-up shop. Hey, how's it going out there? This is Feed Your Mind. If you really support this channel, do me a favor and go to feedyourmind1.com. The link's in the comment section and the description box. enter your email, because once we get enough support, I'm about to launch something new over there to really secure this platform. It's free to enter your email address, and once I get this thing launched, it's going to be worth it for all of you who signed up, and you're going to be the first to know and see what I got planned at feedyourmind1.com. I'm hoping to have this thing launched by tonight or tomorrow, really. So enter your email address at feedyourmind1.com. I can't wait to see you over there and show you what I got planned. This has been another episode of Feed Your Mind. Thank you for tuning in. Signing off. Hello, Patreon subscribers and new listeners. This is Feed Your Mind. Today's video is about how the lunar and solar eclipse is not what you were told. And so we'll begin this discussion with how big the sun is compared to how big the moon is. You see, the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon. They say the sun has a radius of about 432,000 miles versus the moon's radius of about 1,000 miles. So how could something as small as the moon compared to the sun ever totally block out the sun's light? Well, of course, it would have to be because the sun is also 400 times farther away than the moon.
The sun is about 400 times larger than the moon, but the sun is about 400 times further away than the moon. So as a result, they're just about the same size in the sky. And so we have the very happy coincidence that the moon just covers the sun perfectly so that we can see the sun's outer atmosphere, its corona.
How convenient is that? And so scientists say the heliocentrism model was created by a Big Bang explosion. What type of Big Bang explosion can create such a perfect coincidence so that the sun is just the right amount of distance from the moon for there to be a total eclipse? And not only that, there's going to be about 14 more total solar eclipses in the next 100 years. So it's one thing for something like that to happen once in a lifetime, but this is not something that has never happened before. They can predict these things, and it happens often. And when I say often, I'm saying that relative to it being a complete accident. For something like this to happen once would be one thing in a Big Bang explosion, but for it to have happened many times over the centuries and for it to be occurring at least 14 times within 100 years span doesn't seem like much of an accident to me at all. So at the very least, this proves intelligent design versus a random Big Bang explosion accident for something like this to ever happen. And I also want to add, how do they actually know the exact radius of the sun and the moon? I mean, I suppose they have their methods of calculations, but they just know right down to the precise radius of the sun. They say the sun is 432,288 miles precisely, and the moon is 1,079 miles in radius. So let's continue on with our discussion. And so what's really happening here with these total solar eclipses is that the sky operates like a clock. You see, the sun is like the minute hand and the moon is like the hour hand, if you will. There's nothing random at all. You see, we keep track of time by the sun and the moon. It's like clockwork. There's been no discrepancy since mankind has been keeping track of time. They even say sundials and stuff are actually precise right down to this day. It doesn't matter when these sundials were created. They're still perfect in keeping track of time according to how the sun operates above us. And the word month is actually named after the moon because the moon keeps track of the months, which again proves intelligent design at the very least. And so what science has been telling the world about heliocentrism goes back to sun worship and paganism because they worship the sun. If you don't believe me, check out my elements video where I prove to you how science has a hidden agenda. They actually name the planets and the elements after pagan gods and Greek mythology. They're into this sun worshiping cult, and they disguise it in the names that they name planets and elements. Names like Mercury and Pluto and helium is all named after paganism. So these scientists aren't actually as agnostic and atheist as they like to portray themselves. The Copernicus solar system model is a form of sun worship, and the total solar eclipse makes more sense on a flat earth model because on a flat earth model, the sun and the moon can be the same size. And so it wouldn't take much for there to be a solar eclipse if you have a sun that's the same size as the moon And every once in a while, they block each other. It's not as far of a stretch as saying, oh, the sun just happens to be 400 times farther away and 400 times bigger just by some type of accident. No, it makes more sense on a geocentric flat Earth model where the sun and the moon are the same size and they overlap sometimes, which causes a total solar eclipse, which doesn't take as much of a stretch of the imagination to describe as the heliocentric version of what a total solar eclipse is. And one thing I'd like to add in this discussion is, are we even 100% sure that that's the moon that's causing this solar eclipse? Could there be another mysterious celestial object in the sky that we're not aware of?
And so let me know what you think about all of this in the comments section. I plan on making a video about this alleged dark object in the sky. Make sure you click your notification bell so you don't miss it. And before we get out of here, I would like to add that some ancient civilizations actually had rituals that had to do with the lunar and the solar eclipse. According to my research, they were able to control entire populations using the knowledge of the eclipse and knowing when they would arrive, and the public wasn't sure what happened to the sun. And so it would appear like these leaders had all this power to cause the sky to go dark and for the sun to come back. So they were able to more easily control the population using this information. There was also apparently rituals and sacrifices that took place around these times. And also some civilizations saw the eclipse as a warning. Check out my Proof the Moon is Not What You Were Told playlist, where we dig deep into several topics about the moon. I'll leave a link for it in the comment section and the description box. Simply enter your email address at feedyourmind1.com.
That way I can send you some cool news briefs throughout the week.
It's completely free.
I'm giving away a free collectible for my Feed Your Mind pop-up shop. To enter, like the video, subscribe to the channel,
leave a comment about the video, and include your favorite flat earth proof. If you could please chip in $1, you could help me get to a point where I can put out much more videos. Plus, I'll link you up with some free videos before they even come out. Much more information at patreon.com/feedyourmind.
Please click your notification bell. This has been another episode of Feed Your Mind. Thank you for tuning in. Signing off. You were listening to Feed Your Mind, and so I came across some footage from a member of the Flat Earth Society that made an appearance on a television show that I'm not sure if this was a public television broadcast or if this was on national broadcast TV or what, but this flat earther that goes by the name of Charles Johnson appeared on this television show and did actually a pretty good job of defending the flat earth. But the striking thing about this video is that it was filmed in the 80s. So that's the one reason why in my last video, the Flat Earth Society didn't want you to see this, that I actually acknowledged the fact that these guys have been supporting the flat earth information way before the modern flat earth movement. These guys have been in action since right around the time NASA formed, actually. And so I'm going to play the clip from the video, but I just want to say before I play the clip that I still don't have really much of an opinion about these guys. I mean, most modern day flat earthers have nothing to do with the Flat Earth Society.
Most people will consider them controlled opposition. And the truth is, the Flat Earth Society does not speak for all Flat Earth members. You really just got to do your own research and look into it yourself. There's no real spokesperson in the modern day Flat Earth movement. And that's kind of the way I like things anyways. I'm not much into groups and stuff like that anyways. So really, it's kind of like a leaderless movement. And you have a few of your high profile speakers and everything. And that's the way it should be so that we can hear all types of points of views. And then
then individually you can put all the information together and decide for yourself what parts you want to believe and what parts you want to look into more and find more information about. But yeah, I'm going to play this clip so that you can see the Flat Earth Society in action and decide for yourself what you think about these guys. Really, it doesn't matter who these guys are. I mean, the Flat Earth is much more powerful anyways, remaining an independent research movement. So a lot of modern day Flat Earthers give the Flat Earth Society a hard time about some of their strange beliefs. I don't know if they still have these same strange beliefs or not. They have to do with outer space and the Earth rising at a certain speed per hour and stuff, but maybe they just didn't get all of the pieces of the puzzle together yet, because it was really just them out there even believing this stuff. And you got to imagine back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s and 80s up into the 90s into the millennium, there was pretty much no Flat Earthers in existence. I mean, it's like these guys were the only guys in town when it came to Flat Earth. So the Flat Earth Society is a very interesting name to even pick for your group, because the actual word society isn't really favored amongst most truthers out here. So does that mean there's some type of secret society? And why were they so secret about the Flat Earth? It's almost as if they didn't want the information out, or they just wanted to keep the information amongst themselves. I'm not really sure what these guys are all about. Let me know your thoughts about these guys in the comment section. And so I want to thank the Celebrate Truth channel for finding this clip, and I'm going to play it right now.
All right, now our final guest, I can't believe this, but he's the head of the Flat Earth Society. He says the Earth is definitely flat. Here is my guest, Charles Johnson. Let's hear it for Charles. Now, Charles, you can't truly be serious and believe that this Earth is flat.
The Earth is flat is one of the few things that you can ever know for sure in life. It is the only sure thing. You know, they talk about death and taxes being sure, but the Earth being flat is much more sure than that.
But Charles,
I mean, you didn't give the rest of our name. It's the Flat Earth Research Society. We have research. We have
but
learned
Charles, we have seen pictures of the round globe.
Are you serious, Wally? I mean, in other words, your proof is. In other words, your proof is I saw it on TV.
No, I've seen it from an airplane. From an airplane. It's round.
Oh, you got it from an airplane.
But Charles, are you saying everybody else is wrong and you people are the only ones who are right?
Absolutely. But don't get excited. The average person over 40 or 50 years old knows that the Earth is flat.
But Charles, if the Earth was flat, you'd go driving along, or you'd be in a boat going, and you'd reach the end, and you'd fall off the Earth.
You've got backwards. If the world were a globe, a ball, and if you tried to get to Australia, you'd go over the edge. Any direction you went, you'd go over the edge. Endless. The world without end.
Flat.
Right. All water lays flat. I mean, that's the nature of water, to lay flat.
Charles,
how does water lay?
Charles, I think the only thing flat here is your head.
Have you ever seen any of that water?
Charles, are you disputing? Charles, are you disputing our astronauts who have seen our beautiful round globe from outer space?
Carnies. Not a word of truth. No one's been to the moon.
Oh, wait a minute. Did you say nobody has been to the moon?
No one has been to the moon.
Wait. Hold on. Are you saying that our trip to the moon was all phony?
Phony. Totally. Completely phony. And the reason, and all these years that this insane hoax has been taught, it come from Greece 2,500 years ago. It's called the Grease ball religion, claiming the world is a ball. No proof had ever been found for this insane belief.
What proof do you have that the Earth is flat?
Let me get to who started the space program. Nick Khrushchev in Russia. The atheist communist, since they could find no proof, and he wanted to do away. The Bible is a flat earth book. Jesus, the only part of the Bible that's claimed written by God himself is the Ten Commandments. And within those commandments you'll find in Exodus 24, it states the earth is flat. It states you shall not make a graven image from heaven above or earth beneath or the water underneath the earth. In other from heaven above or earth beneath, or the water underneath the earth. In other words, that says the world is flat. See, the whole point of the whole hoax is to do away with Christianity, to do away with sanity.
Charles, our time is gone. All I can say is, Charles, you got a little studying to do. The earth is round. I'll be right back. Good night, everybody.
Check out my Flat Earth University playlist for much more information. I'll leave the link in the comment section and the description box. Simply enter your email address at feedyourmind1.com. That way I can send you some cool news briefs throughout the week. It's completely free. Simply like, comment, share, and subscribe, and include your favorite Flat Earth proof, and you're automatically entered into a chance to win a free collectible from my Feed Your Mind pop-up shop. Please chip in $1 to $5 on my Patreon page. I got some cool gifts for you over there, because a truth channel like this is going to require us to be listener supported for me to be able to continue to put out videos. Thanks for your support. Please click your notification bell. This has been another episode of Feed Your Mind. Thank you for tuning in. Signing off.
This is Feed Your Mind, and so 2 new artists have came forward to explain to the world that they're creating images for the Webb telescope. So the outer space images that people have been seeing are not real, according to these people that have been generating the images for NASA. These are the official people for NASA. They have interviews with NPR radio, and they have other presentations. You can confirm that they do work for NASA, and this is what they do. They generate images in the space department where they work with scientists and they analyze data, and sometimes they say they even use their best guess at as far as how they want a picture to look. And they are generating these images, and they're not real. They say they understand people think they're real, but they say that's just pretty much what they're hired to do, is to make photorealistic images using their imagination and data and coming up with a nice looking picture. So basically the 2 artists, well, one goes by the name of Tim Pyle, the other one goes by the name of Robert Herc. And when you look into their background on their social media profiles, you can find out that these guys actually have a long history in Hollywood, working on science fiction movies and cartoons, and they're Hollywood animators and they're computer graphic experts. So they probably have a team, and they get together and make these images, and basically they even say they sometimes leave Easter eggs in some of their images. So when people point out stuff like the Disney character Pluto on the planet Pluto, that's an actual Easter egg, because these NASA artists are saying they leave stuff like that in the images. People have pointed out Mickey Mouse, and sometimes I think people have found stuff in the clouds. So that's a real thing where these NASA scientists say they get a kick out of sometimes leaving Easter eggs in some of their images. I don't know if they're breadcrumbs or something for people to figure this stuff out. Maybe they have to tell the truth for people to wake up if you're looking for the information. Maybe because I heard that some of these secret groups, they're required to tell the truth. The truth is supposed to be out there. Who knows why they're telling the truth instead of covering this up, but they're out here in the open doing interviews and presentations and showing people how they are generating these images. So I'm going to leave a link in the comment section and description box, because this information was uncovered by Peggy Hall, the Healthy American. Now, I came across Peggy's work not even looking at this type of stuff. I came across her stuff months and months ago when they were trying to mandate me for my job, and I came across her videos when I was looking how to come up with a religious exemption letter. So I looked at her information, and I was able to get exempted from the mandate thanks to her expertise in this field. And then later on, months later, I found out that she does not believe NASA is real and that she knows all about flat earth and stuff. So that was a pretty interesting coincidence there. And then just a couple weeks ago, I think she was on DITRH channel or Jeranism. She did an interview with both of them, and she was explaining how, yeah, NASA is not real. The earth is flat, and she understands all this stuff because she's awoke. So basically, this is the type of information that woke me up a long time ago when I came across Robert Simmons explaining how he's generating images of the earth, and the images of earth are not real. Then I looked into it myself more, and then I found out that there's small print next to most pictures of the earth from NASA where they're saying that these are not real images, they're composite sketches and artist renderings. So that's a big deal to me when people think that these images are real and then they find out they're not. Well, that should probably you would think that would wake up more people, right? The NASA artists Tim Pyle and Robert Herc, they were saying in their NPR interview that they know people think a lot of these pictures are real, but they're saying this is what they're paid to do, is to make realistic looking pictures. So that's what they do. And so they even say sometimes they're making their best guess as far as what they want a picture to look like. And so one thing that Peggy brought up was how the panels of this Webb telescope, they're in a hexagon shape with these gold panels, and she's saying that could mean something like another Easter egg where the hex is like a spell. So the hexagon is showing that this is kind of like a spell. And then when I put my spin on this, I can kind of see how it's in a honeycomb shape. And so that's kind of like a hive mind. So the people in the hive mind are under a spell, and they call it the Webb telescope. So they're believing a web of lies. And so these people are in a web of lies because they're in a hive mind, unable to think for themselves and unable to understand that they are under a spell, and the spell is keeping them in the matrix. Because when they're in this matrix, they're believing in this world that is being presented to them by NASA. And when they fall for it, they are stuck in the matrix. And when you snap out of it, you wake up to all the deception beyond just outer space and the earth. You start to realize that who are these people in charge of us, lying to us so blatantly about where we live? And that's a big deal. And that starts opening your eyes up to more and more truths. And you start to really wake up on another level like never before once you start to realize all these lies. And some people are just not able to accept that they've been lied to. So for some reason, when you show them information like this where the artists of NASA are saying these images of outer space are not real, some people just cannot snap out of it still for some reason. And it's not clear why. There's even a lot of truth channels out here that, they just can't figure out that this information is available. So maybe they need to see the information. So like I said, I'm going to leave a link in the comments section in the description box and show them the video that Peggy Hall put together, because she puts it all together in a nice little video where you can't deny anymore, because it's the actual people from NASA who are generating the images, telling the world that these images are not real pictures of outer space. And there's no way to challenge this information because it's coming directly from the NASA artists themselves. And so check out the link in the comment section, description box. I'm also going to leave links to my social media and my other channels and my free email newsletters and much more. I'm also going to leave links if you'd like to support this channel. You can donate as little as $1 to help keep Feed Your Mind online. Your support's going to help me get out much more documentary style videos. Plus, you're helping this channel stay listener supported so that I can put out much more videos, because they try to hide a lot of my content. So thanks for tuning in. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This has been Feed Your Mind signing off.
Hello, Patreon subscribers and new listeners. This is Feed Your Mind. And so today we will discuss this strange explanation that NASA is not able to rebuild technology that was crafted in the 60s because the first moon landing took place in 1969. And so the rockets that they were riding on was really 60s technology. But the thing is, this technology was not lost. It's worse than that. The technology was destroyed with no notes and no way to rebuild it. Even in 2018, we can't rebuild this technology that was somehow so far advanced for its time that NASA is saying that they are unable to rebuild the rocket. And so do you think anybody would have a hard time rebuilding a Model T car or anything like that? I doubt it. So let's watch the clip and then we'll have a discussion after that.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
And so the thing I don't quite understand about this clip is that how hard could it possibly be to rebuild technology from the 60s? I mean, we're talking about the 60s here, the era of landline telephones and Atari video game systems. We're talking 8-track audio tapes and actual LP vinyl records to hear their favorite song. I mean, this is the 60s where home computers were barely invented. And so how hard could it possibly be to rebuild this destroyed technology that this astronaut was talking about? I mean, the guy actually says it would be a very painful process to rebuild.
We destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
I mean, you gotta be kidding me, right? How painful could it be to rebuild technology from the 60s? Our technology is so far advanced from the 60s. And also, why would they destroy the technology? What type of sense does that make? I mean, they destroyed the technology? Who authorized that? Why was it destroyed? And we really need to figure out what specific technology this astronaut was talking about that was so ahead of its time that we aren't able to space travel anymore because of it. And this isn't the first time NASA has gone around destroying technology. Just a few months ago, there was an announcement that NASA had destroyed some more technology instead of transporting it to some type of warehouse or some type of museum where the public can come and analyze it. Are they destroying this technology because they don't want it analyzed? Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments section. Another thing that I noticed is that after this astronaut said all of that, it almost seemed as if he made a Freudian slip because he switched the subject to talk about exploring Mars and going back to the moon eventually.
But going to Mars should be one of the next series of steps that humans do. The first step should be going back to the moon. After that, Mars, maybe high orbit in Venus atmosphere, maybe going to Europa. The only limit to human future is in our own imaginations.
The way the astronaut pivoted back to space travel just shows you how desperate NASA is to have the masses believe outer space and space travel is an actual goal. They obviously want the public to feel that there's all this mystery in outer space and it's the final frontier that must be explored. But if you've been watching my videos, you'll start to understand that planets are not what you have been told. They're actually lights in the sky. There's no real evidence that planets are solid objects. Check out my Edge of Flat Earth Discovered and Hidden playlist for much more information about why NASA can't make it to space. I'll leave a link in the comment section and the description box. Simply enter your email address at feedyourmind1.com. That way I can send you some cool news briefs throughout the week. It's completely free. I'm giving away a free collectible for my Feed Your Mind pop-up shop. All you have to do to enter is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your favorite flat earth proof in the comment section. Chip in $1 at my Patreon page to help keep this channel running. You get to watch videos before they come out, and we have a bunch of other cool stuff over there, like the Flat Earth Challenge. Complete details at patreon.com/feedyourmind. Please click your notification bell. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. This has been another episode of Feed Your Mind. Thank you for tuning in. Signing off.